shot in the groin by an unknown offender. The 16-year-old was rushed to Stroger Hospital in serious condition. It's day 3 of jury selection in the Ed Burke trial. The powerful former Chicago alderman on trial for public corruption. They're trying to whittle a pool of more than 50 potential jurors down to 12 and 4 alternates. So far, less than 30 have made it through the questioning. A 24-year-old man is suspected in the stabbing death of a Valparaiso University student at a Northwest Indiana fitness center. Valparaiso University President Jose Padilla confirmed the passing of Varun Puka Wednesday. Charges are expected to be upgraded to murder. Puka, who died Tuesday, November 7, was set to graduate with a master's degree in computer science. The final day of the fall veto session for the Illinois legislature is today, the last chance to address some major looming deadlines. For many, the major focus is extending the school choice scholarship program, Invest in Kids, before it expires December 31. The plan could be left on the cutting room floor before legislators leave Springfield. Kingswood Academy's Tammy Karam saying the program helps so many families in need of a good education.
We give tax credits for electric cars, for so many different things, and why not for education?
Meantime, also in action that could happen today, a separate issue involves firearm owners who bought a banned semi-automatic firearm during the 6-day window when the state was enjoined from enforcing its gun ban. Illinois State Police say despite the court order in late April, such firearms cannot be legally registered. Jason Plummer said his measure to hold individuals harmless apparently is not going anywhere right now.
Only in Illinois can you commit a crime by exercising your constitutional rights.
The House and Senate reconvene later today before heading home for the rest of the calendar year. Also yesterday, an Illinois lawmaker in Springfield says the way the state conducts business is unethical and fiscal malpractice. In the wake of the Pritzker administration celebrating a credit rating upgrade from Fitch, State Representative Marty McLaughlin is calling for more transparency of state spending and highlighted an executive assistant at the Illinois Emergency Management Agency billing the state nearly $50,000 a month just for her salary.
As a former mayor, I can't fathom how we choose to allow this practice to continue here in Springfield without any legislative oversight, review, or monitoring. If this practice was conducted in the private sector, of which I own and operate a company, or a nonprofit sector, the fiscal officer would be terminated or sanctioned.
McLaughlin says Illinois taxpayers are also on the hook for enormous other salaries like workers taking care of migrants.
The people in charge of this great state have no understanding of what it means to respect taxpayers' monies when they allow this to happen. And what do we expect from a governor who's spending his time jetting off to Miami running for the White House?
McLaughlin says he backs a proposal to create an Illinois Commission for Fiscal Responsibility and Reform. Chicago sports. Yusuf Nurkic made a go-ahead layup with just under 7.1 seconds remaining as the Suns slipped past the Bulls in OT 116-115 last night.
We know what we're capable of, and it's about doing it consistently. We got plenty of talent on the team to win games in the league and to be a good team in this league. It's just about doing it consistently.
Bulls guard Alex Caruso saying they made too many mistakes. Week 10's edition of Thursday Night Football features a pair of last-place teams as the Bears host the Carolina Panthers. Undrafted rookie free agent quarterback Tyson Bagent will start for his 4th consecutive game under center, says head coach Matt Eberflus.
Update on Justin Fields. He's progressing every day. He is not medically cleared yet. And Bagent will be our starter for this game, and Peterman will back him up.
The Blackhawks look to get back in the win column when they visit Tampa Bay tonight. College hoops last night. Loyola lost to number 9, Florida Atlantic, 75-62. The news is a service of Turnkey.pro. Their team of veteran consultants know how to reduce costs and grow new revenue streams, all without having to hire on-site professionals. Visit Turnkey.pro turnkey.pro. AM 560 news time is 5:10. We'll have a check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
If you listen to the mainstream media and the Democrats, you'd think it was a sin to be black and conservative. Well, John Anthony blows up that perception every week on Black and Right. Join John this Saturday afternoon at 4 when he pushes back against the left and its regressive, progressive agenda that tries to dictate how people should think or feel about politics. Listen to Black and Right this Saturday afternoon at 4 right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Come enjoy dozens of local, national, and international fine spirits and wines at the annual Spirits and Wine Festival. The festival will be on Saturday, November 11th at the Stephen M. Bailey Auditorium in Plumbers Hall. There will be chocolates, specialty treats, and handcrafted cocktails. For a chance to win a pair of tickets, visit 560theanswer.com, keyword Expo.
Check out the America's Talking Podcast, a show featuring thoughtful conversations with host Austin Berg and guests that range from opioid epidemic expert Dr. Limpke.
What are the best predictors of a person's ability or likelihood of success in overcoming an addiction?
Really interesting question. I mean, it's a combination of the biopsychosocial aspects that make up the disease of addiction in the first place. Biology speaks to the sort of inborn or innate vulnerability to addiction that person has in their DNA. What's their genetic load?
To stand-up comedian Mark Normand.
For me, it was a couple things. I was finally getting some heat. I opened for Seinfeld. I did Joe Rogan. I had a Tonight Show come out. I was like cooking. And then the COVID hit. I was selling tickets for the first time in my life.
Listen to the America's Talking Podcast at americastalking.com or wherever you get your podcast.
You can't live forever, but your legacy can. For over 185 years, families have trusted Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties, to set their legacies in stone. A prepaid cemetery plan locks in today's prices and safeguards against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Calling all Patriots! Are you ready for the adventure of a lifetime? Journey with me on the Patriots Alaska Cruise in June 2024. We'll dive deep into geopolitical trends and unpack the influences shaping the world today. It's an incredible opportunity to engage with me and other Patriots on an epic 7-day journey. Witness the untouched wilderness of Alaska while discussing America's future. Join us from June 29th to July 6, 2024. Book online, patriotsalaskacruise.com.
5:13, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Just a couple of problem spots. West Loop, Greektown, Van Buren, and Halstead reported an accident there. 394, well, it's that time of year. Car deer accidents sprouting up everywhere. This time on 394 southbound right at US 30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Sun, patchy clouds, and breezy. High today at 56. Clear tonight and chilly, low 39. Sunny day tomorrow, the high at 49. For tomorrow, light clear to partly cloudy, low 34. And then clouds and sun on Saturday, the high Saturday afternoon reaching 50. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Weather, a service of Mattress Firm and their Black Friday sale. Better sleep and unmissable deals. Plus, get your new bed free and fast with delivery. Don't miss the Black Friday sale at Mattress Firm. Currently, 44 degrees officially at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 5:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
Have you been searching for a Napa Valley quality winery experience closer to home? A hidden gem awaits you at Bishop's Hill Winery in Joliet. Come experience fine wine, history, and castles. Stay to enjoy the Bishop's Hill Tasting Room to round out a perfect day. The Bishop's Hill Castle is easily accessible in nearby Joliet. This facility was home to a former brewery in the 1860s and is located on a hill with a commanding view where you'll enjoy sampling some of the highest rated wines in the world. Bishop's Hill wines are made from California grapes and sustainably grown. These wines have received Best in Class, Gold and Double Gold awards at the San Francisco Chronicle North American Wine Competition. Now is your opportunity to stock up for the holidays and purchase national award-winning wine from Joliet-based Bishop's Hill Winery. If you want the Napa experience without the cost, look no further. Group discounts are available, and the Bishop's Hill Castle is also ready to host your next event for your family or business. Visit online at bishopshill.com. That's bishopshill.com.
Over 30 years ago, the challenge was accepted, and the Pride Stores has been redefining the convenience store experience throughout Chicagoland ever since. In the spirit of giving thanks this month to the surrounding communities for supporting the Pride Store's vision, you're invited to take advantage of their November promotion at the Pride of St. Charles. Buy 8 gallons of gas and receive 20% off your purchase at the Pride Beer and Wine Plus Spirits just next door. That's right, 8 gallons of gas gets you 20% off an amazing selection of local craft beers, high-end wines from Napa, Sonoma, Walla Walla, and Columbia Valley, plus a wide variety of Pride barrel picks. And don't forget about 93 Octane Brewery located inside the same building. Might as well get a pint while you shop. Offer ends Thursday, November 30th, and valid only at the Pride of St. Charles on Lincoln Highway. With 17 Chicagoland locations, visit thepridestores.com to find the one nearest you. That's thepridestores.com. The Pride Stores, not your typical convenience store.
Hi, it's Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, and I want to talk to you about your unused basement rec rooms. We all had them back in the 60s and 70s with jukeboxes, pinballs, and slot machines, Coca-Cola signs, and even gas pumps. We all had a great time in those days, but fast forward, and I'll bet you haven't gone down there in years. That's where I can help by turning those items into cash through Donnelly Auctions. We have thousands of customers online eager to bid on your items, and it's easier than you might think. Just give me a call at 815-923-7000, and I'll make those items fit in your wallet. Look us up online at DonnellyAuctions.com to see all of the items that we can sell for you. Give me a call today at 815-923-7000. And don't forget to check out the Donnelly Auctions Hour, Saturdays at 1 o'clock on AM 560. Subscribe and check out the podcast too. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
An informed and educated citizenry is the only guarantee to preserve our constitutional republic. And each week, you'll hear from experts, not pundits, and find out what's really happening, from local issues to national politics. Listen to The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. There's no topic of public policy concern that she won't talk about. Stop the lies. Learn the truth. Join the conversation. Sunday night at 7, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Shalom Klein. Join me each week for the Get Down to Business radio show. This show is packed with ideas that will inspire as you search for best practices to grow your business. Whether you are an experienced entrepreneur or just learning the ropes, Get Down to Business will tackle the issues affecting your everyday work life.
Get Down to Business is covered by Tom Mirabali, independent producer for Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois.
Listen each week to Get Down to Business with me, Shalom Klein. Heard Sunday afternoons at 6 right here on AM 560.
Hey everybody, Charlie Kirk here. Freedom Square is an unbelievable service designed to unite freedom-loving Americans. I know these guys. They love their country and they're doing an amazing job. You can log on now to create your free personalized dashboard. All of your favorite news sites, podcasters, all on one site, all at your fingertips. Sign up your business right now at freedomsquare.com and start connecting with freedom-loving Americans. Look, people want businesses they can support. You want to know the good guys from the bad guys. That's freedomsquare.com. Log on right now and create your personalized dashboard. Join us in the fight, so check it out. freedomsquare.com. Freedom lives here.
Let's welcome our new Freedom Square Business Network members. Freedom's Journal Institute, Good Ranchers, Bull Valley Golf Club, and GiveSendGo.com. It's time to unite and vote with your dollars. Download the Freedom Square app and register your business right now at freedomsquare.com and start connecting with patriots. Freedom Square. Freedom lives here.
It's hard to believe, but 2024 will be here soon.
Before you get caught up in all the busy holiday season shopping and whatnot, ask yourself, what are you doing now to put your retirement in a better position for the future? Sean Thompson here for my friend Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group. Tom has prepared a 2023 year-end planning report. This report will show you ways to reduce your tax burden on your retirement savings, income strategies that don't depend on a volatile market, and ideas on how to protect and pass down assets to your loved ones. Tom has been helping build financial plans for retirements for over 2 decades, and he's sharing his knowledge and experience in this report. Call Tom today at 630-934-1855 and ask for the 2023 year-end planning report. That's 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour right here on AM 560 The Answer, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So last night's Republican presidential debate in Miami started out a little chippy. I gotta say, somebody was bound to do it. Vivek Ramaswamy was Vivek Ramaswamy. People so hyped up on the proper pronunciation. Vivek.
He listened to the show yesterday because he did exactly what you said to do.
It was somebody was bound to go after the moderators at some point, and Ramaswamy seemed like the likely candidate. But he did a little bit more than I expected out of the gate. Didn't just go after the moderators, also went after the RNC per the disappointing results on Tuesday night.
Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer in the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here, do you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Roberts.
This is how we get our country back. We need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
and they're going to rig this election.
Your time is up.
Accountability.
Let me turn to
That's
Governor Christie.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636DA, turnkey.pro, text line. Kristen Welker, go. That might have been my favorite line of the night.
And she looks so struggling. Who, me? Are you talking to me? Like she would. How
She was
could they
trying
not
to
see
smile
that?
it off.
I know, but how could they not see that coming?
Well, so the Ronna McDaniel thing, look, it's obviously everyone knows what the results are. They are what they are over the last several cycles, as Ramaswamy delineated. It's not all on Ronna McDaniel's, all the responsibility doesn't fall on her, but the larger point about accountability and the leadership of the Republican Party, we're very familiar with the lack of it in Illinois, and that's a bad look for any organization, and it results in the disintegration of the organization. So there's legitimate complaints to be lodged. I would have maybe focused more on Welker and the choice that Ramaswamy made the choice, that Ronna McDaniel made to partner with NBC, and that's where you heard all the applause. And by the way, Rogan, Elon Musk, and Tucker Carlson. I don't know about all three of them, maybe one or two of them, but
I want all three.
Frankly, our friend Hugh Hewitt, who did a fine job last night, he could have done the whole thing by himself. You didn't need Welker and Lester Holt.
No, he did not. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. It's much more watchable than the second debate, that's for sure. People were more measured, not screaming on, talking all over each other.
Well, the rules were different. It was more orderly because the rules were different, and unless you were personally attacked, you didn't get a chance. There was some exchange. So it was, but it also made it a little bit more of a struggle. I mean, for all the talk about, from the pundit class, this conventional pundit class, for all the talk about how this was such a much more substantive debate and this and that, you know what? Not really. Not really. I mean, most of the quote-unquote substance, what the pundits and the consultants call substance, was just 5 candidates basically repeating more or less the same positions. I mean, you had the first, after that little foray by Ramaswamy, you had the first 15 minutes was who is going to talk tougher on Hamas and in support of Israel than the next candidate.
Right, and they all did. I mean, they were all strong, I thought.
So how much utility was, how much utility did that generate?
Well, who do you think won the debate? If there was,
I don't
play those
mean,
schoolyard games.
So this is Haley and DeSantis competing for who can be the finalist against Trump, but the bigger question is, did you see anything last night from the candidates that would suggest that one of them is about to emerge and present a real threat to Trump, where we're 2 months removed from the Iowa caucus? That's the question. Anybody do you think is about to take off and we're going to have a real race here, or are people just running for vice president and second place? That's the larger question. I like DeSantis, I like Haley, I like Ramaswamy. That's all well and good, and we can go counterpoint on it, and happy to do that. But did you see anything that has the potential to change the nature of the contest, which is the point?
I thought DeSantis did a good job, coming out swinging against Trump. He seemed more comfortable up there and more like a leader.
This country is in trouble, and the elites that have put us here, they don't care about you. They don't care that you're having to grapple with higher grocery prices or have higher gas prices. They don't care that your family's less secure because of the open border that's allowed drugs and even terrorists to come into this country. Well, I care. I am not going to sit idly by and let this country continue its downward spiral. We need leadership, and we need it now. I'll take the hits, I'll take the arrows, I'll take the slings, because ultimately it's not about me. It's about you. I will fight for you.
Yeah.
I will make sure to lead this country's revival.
I mean, it's for you.
It's. I mean, I believe DeSantis. I like DeSantis. He's done an excellent job as governor of Florida. All the things I've said before, but I mean, that just, yeah. I mean, yeah.
I know, he seems genuine to me.
Well, I think it's genuine.
I don't feel like I'm getting fooled. I just think that he really cares. And
yeah. I mean, do you think that moment for DeSantis, that those remarks are going to change anything?
No.
It represents a reconsideration from those who are supporting Nikki Haley. Forget Trump. Those who are supporting Nikki Haley, those supporting Ramaswamy, those support and the undecided. Do you think that's the moment that they're going to start to gravitate towards DeSantis? I don't think so.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line.
We've heard it before. I mean, it feels like DeSantis sort of still hasn't really found his cri de coeur, his rallying cry. It feels like he's presenting a very polished, competent executive, and the Republican Party is looking for William Wallace. You see the difference?
text messages. I love Vivek. He was giving it to Welker.
That was a fun moment.
That
I mean, I expected somebody to go after the moderators, particularly Welker, because of her, horrific record as a propagandist. But to do it out of the gate before she even asked a question and have her hold her to account for the Russian collusion propagandizing, that was fun.
And then it got all boring from then.
Carl, Big Cabin, Oklahoma.
Hey, first of all, the Republicans need to get off their little soundbite thing and get on to what policies they're going to put forth. I get nothing from them. Now, I'm curious. The Simpsons had Trump come down the escalator 20 years before he ran. Are you writing for the Simpsons now? Because you knew Vivek was going to say that.
Well, I didn't know. Thanks for the call. I didn't know exactly what he was going to say, and like I said, I didn't expect him to be open up the program with that. But I had a feeling. I mean, he's a risk taker. He knows he needs to be. He's trying to sort of recreate what Trump did in 2016. It's not going to happen for a variety of reasons we'll discuss. But and I know he really got under the skin of Nikki Haley, which we'll pick up at 5:38.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike.
44 degrees in Chicago. We have gray skies right now, and later on today, we should see moderating temperatures throughout the day. 5 Republican presidential hopefuls faced off in their third televised debate on NBC News. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley argued Republicans and Democrats shouldn't try to fight each other over the issue of abortion.
Let's agree on how we can ban late-term abortions. Let's make sure we encourage adoptions and good quality adoptions. Let's make sure we make contraception accessible. Let's make sure that none of these state laws put a woman in jail or give her the death penalty for getting an abortion.
Presidential hopeful Vivek Ramaswamy argued President Biden's economic plans is failing and causing Americans nationwide to have to spend even more money.
Americans at home, they know the Bidenomics is a lie. Prices are going up. Interest rates and mortgages to buy your home are going up, but wages have remained flat. That's the hard diagnosis for our economy.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis promises to make the southern border more secure if he's elected.
We're declaring it a national emergency on day one. I'm sending U.S. military to the border. I'm going to stop the invasion cold. I am going to deport people who came illegally. And I'm even going to build the border wall and have Mexico pay for it like Donald Trump promised.
Former President and 2024 GOP presidential hopeful Donald Trump did not participate in that debate, opting to hold a rally in nearby Hialeah, Florida. In other news, this morning, Israeli troops and Hamas militants battled through bombed-out buildings in Gaza City today, more than a month into the Israel incursion into Gaza after Hamas terror attacks. The U.S. is conducting airstrikes on weapons storage facilities in Syria used by Iran's Revolutionary Guard. The Biden administration has also yesterday picked a new location for FBI headquarters in the Green Belt, about 13 miles northeast of Washington, D.C. The longest actors' strike in Hollywood history is coming to an end. The SAG-AFTRA union saying the strike will officially end Thursday after a deal was approved with a unanimous vote. A judge is denying pretrial release for a Chicago man accused of stealing $1,700 worth of merchandise from an Oak Brook Terrace Home Depot. Timothy Waymeyer faces charges of burglary and retail theft. Officers arrested him as he attempted to flee the store. Cook County Sheriff's Office is continuing its search for a missing Glenview woman who suffers from early onset dementia. Regina Hurd was last seen leaving her home on Tuesday, heading to a church in Wilmette. The Indianapolis Colts this morning mourning the death of a former player from the Chicago area. Matt Ulrich has died at the age of 41. Streamwood native attended Northwestern University and signed with the Colts as an undrafted free agent in 2005. The former offensive lineman was on the team's Super Bowl championship team during the 2006 season. Suns skipped past the Bulls in overtime last night, 116-115. Week 10 edition of Thursday Night Football. Couple of cellar dwellers, last place teams, Bears and Carolina at Soldier Field. College hoops last night, Loyola lost to number 9 Florida Atlantic 75-62. AM 560 news time is 5:35. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer. Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Automated Systems Incorporated, HealthInsuranceMentors.com, and by Illinois Concealed Carry Training.
The Daily Herald 2022 Best of the Fox winner for Best Financial Planner is Total Clarity Wealth Management. The 2022 Reader's Choice Award winner for Best Wealth Management Firm and Best Financial Planner is Total Clarity Wealth Management. Are you ready for a change? Choose Total Clarity Wealth Management. With a professional team of financial advisors and CPAs, they can show you the way to financial readiness and keep you on track. Their philosophy is built on solid relationships and trust, with access to expertise in tax planning strategies, 401k rollover services, estate planning, and more. They can help you be ready for anything.
Hi, this is Terry Murphy. The cornerstone of our practice has been to help clients stay focused on their goals throughout life's changes.
Get in touch with them at TotalClarityWealth.com. That's TotalClarityWealth.com. Securities offered through LPL Financial Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Total Clarity Wealth Management Inc., a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial. Awards are based on number of reader votes. This award is not representative of the views of clients and is not indicative of future performance or services.
You've heard me talk about my love of coffee over and over again. I'm here to tell you I have discovered one of the best brews I've ever tasted, and a company that I cannot wait to support. I'm here to tell you about Bone Frog Coffee. The Bone Frog is a sacred symbol in the SEAL teams. It honors those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, their lives. Bone Frog was founded by Tim Crook Shank, a former Navy SEAL and 25-year Navy veteran. Bone Frog honors the fallen, those who gave everything for our freedoms and our American way of life, by giving 10% of all the proceeds to benefit many of the U.S. Navy SEAL foundations. Here's what I need you to do. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Get 10% off your first order. You will also get 15% off Bone Frog Coffee subscriptions. Just enter Liberty at checkout. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. That's bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Taste one of the best brews you ever tasted. 10% of the proceeds go to benefit the Navy SEALs. You'll feel good. It's an American company. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty.
Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave. Don't treat yourself like junk. Respect it with Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get. Buy now at a retailer near you.
5:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time of service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560, The Answer. Kennedy at 24 minutes and climbing already. Inbound, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike brake lights right around Manheim all the way to 25th. 27 minutes, 390 into the old post office. Stevenson outbound stop-and-go traffic between Central and Harlem due to an accident. A car there is spun off into the ditch. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next, and your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Sunny today as we go through the morning hours. We'll kick out those clouds and we'll see highs in the mid-50s. Partly cloudy, lows in the upper 30s overnight. Currently, we have 44 degrees at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 6, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois. Online at papanicholas.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy doing a little bit of debate post-mortem. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text. And I just want to say one more thing about my favorite moment in the debate, which was right at the outset. Vivek Ramaswamy. Did I pronounce it right? Vivek
cake. Somebody
Yeah.
said it's cake, Dan and Amy. Vivek.
I know what it is. We're having fun.
I know.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about these people that are like so, idiosyncratic and venal. We're having fun. By the way, having fun with somebody's name gives them more publicity about their candidacy. Remember how much fun people had trying to learn how to pronounce Blagojevich, for example?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so just chill out, Ramaswamy supporters. Stop being so humorless.
Yeah.
Vivek, your candidate, certainly isn't. But the why I thought that was the best moment. It just Kristen go, just freeze it there because it immediately evokes exactly what he said, which everybody saw.
Yeah.
But it's more than just because it was fun. It was demonstrative. It's easy to say in an abstract way, the elites this and the D.C. press corps that. That was a moment in public view where a apparatchik like Kristen Welker had nowhere to hide, where Ramaswamy provided a Emperor Has No Clothes illustration. And why are those important? Because it provides a real-world example, a concrete example for people. Do not be afraid of these flimsy elites. You have nothing to fear. And it's a good moment for Ramaswamy to demonstrate that he is willing to put it between people's eyes, maybe more than some people would like in certain cases, including some of his competitors. But nonetheless, so it was a good moment, not just because it was fun, but there was also some real substance there. There was a real illustration, and you don't always get those kind of illustrations. Normally, it's the abstractions, which are a lot less compelling.
Well, it was a long time coming.
And have a lot less resonance.
Sorry for interrupting, but it was a long time coming. I mean, that was built up for all of us. I think collectively he said what everybody wanted him to say.
Yeah, and by the way, Emperor Has No Clothes, and that includes your party elites, too, who made the improper decision to partner with NBC in the first place. And by the way, I saw some of the commentary about, NBC then partnering with Salem. That would be us, our company, with Hugh Hewitt being our representative, who did a fine job, as I said. But the commentaries, NBC is really jeopardizing its journalistic credibility by partnering with Salem and this and that. And NBC responding, we have total editorial control and so on and so on. This is exactly the point that Doug Truax, we talked to yesterday, Restoration PAC, was making, Ramaswamy made, many others made, we made. Why? Why are you making this choice? Gutfeld, Tucker, Elon, commentators and reporters for any number of conservative outlets. Selena Zito, our friend Selena Zito, who writes for Washington Examiner and other outlets. There's so many names that we could go through that you've heard on this show.
I know. And here's one headline. CNN Media reporter accuses NBC of helping to elevate and normalize far right-wing outlets.
Exactly.
Like Salem Media. Ooh.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's the thanks that the RNC provides for conservative media outlets. That's the thanks, is to just do exactly what they're saying that NBC did. We're legitimizing Democrat operatives pretending to be journalists like Kristen Welker. What? I mean, there wasn't that many moments where it was like over the top in terms of either Holt or Welker asking unfair questions or getting after a particular candidate. It was pretty vanilla, their questioning, pretty open-ended. But that's not the point. The point is you want it to be a comfortable environment, generally speaking, although it provides moments like Ramaswamy had. But you want it to be a comfortable environment where people can really get more of a sense of the dimensions of the candidates. And, I don't know that, with the exception of a few moments, that was the case yesterday. The other moment that people immediately reacted to, myself included, was this exchange between Haley and Ramaswamy on TikTok usage.
Oh, yeah.
And the question was essentially about, would you, the candidates, ban TikTok? Ironically, they get done talking tough on the Chinese Communist Party and TikTok, and then the first commercial during the debate is TikTok. I don't know if people caught that. Oh, yeah. The irony abounds. But anyway, so Haley has been critical of Vivek talking tough on the Chinese Communist Party, saying he would ban TikTok while he campaigns on TikTok, and that led to this.
Talked about this. You campaign on TikTok. How do you get TikTok banned if you use it?
Well, I want to laugh at why Nikki Haley didn't answer your question, which was about looking at families in the eye. In the last debate, she made fun of me for actually joining TikTok while her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time. So you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my
before
daughter
preaching to
out of your
anybody else's
voice.
adult daughter. The next generation of Americans are using it. And that's actually the point. You have her supporters propping her up. That's fine. Here's the truth.
You're just
the easy
scum.
answer.
You're just scum. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. How did you feel about that exchange?
I mean, as a mom, I would say exactly what Nikki Haley said. Leave her out of your voice. And he is scum. That was a moment for him. He didn't need to do that. I don't know what his problem is. He's trying to act like such the tough guy. Everything had to be about him. And to attack her daughter, of course, all of our children are on TikTok. Well, most of them are. I shouldn't say all of it. And she, her daughter's, I think she's over 18, so she can make her own decisions. She's a young adult. Most young adults are on TikTok or Snapchat or on some form of social media, but obviously TikTok is the focus because they believe China's using it to spy on us and take over the world. But yeah, I would have probably lost it more than she did. I thought Nikki Haley was very composed in her counterattack on him. Did you like it, Dan?
I wouldn't have done it the way that Ramaswamy did, but I think it's the castigation of Ramaswamy over it is a little overheated. I would have said, Haley, Nikki Haley, you have family members who use TikTok. So, I mean, yeah, I use TikTok. You use what's available, but I'd be happy to stop using it as long as we could get everybody else to stop using it. And the way you do that is to prohibit it through federal government action, deplatform it in the United States. So that's the way I would have gone rather than singling out.
But also he said you might want to take care of your family first, as if she's some bad mom or something. When she's the only woman up there, I don't know. For me,
I think
was a little.
The take care of your family first. That did have that implication. It's also, as you mentioned, she's an adult, so I mean, you're supposed to tell your adult kids not to be on TikTok. I mean, and be held responsible for it. I said I wouldn't have done it the way that he did it, but you're scum. I don't know.
She's a little bit better than that too.
So that was a moment. Let me tell you. If people want to talk about that, I don't know how much there's to talk about it. But of course, everybody's hand wringing about it because anytime there's name calling and that kind of testy exchange, and then oh my gosh, they didn't shake hands after the debate.
They didn't, and her daughter's on the stage. Oh my God, what's gonna happen?
This is what people really care about. It's like,
right.
Will Nikki Haley and Ramaswamy, will they shake hands afterwards? We're monitoring them. We're watching them. We've got Ramaswamy with his wife and his kid on stage, and Nikki Haley with her daughter. They're moving about. One is over there. It's just
that was the funny part. The funniest play-by-play after a debate I've ever seen.
Why don't you get the telestrator out? And the other was, we now see who Tim Scott's girlfriend is.
But Tim Scott was standing up there by himself for so long. I felt so bad for him. He was up there for a while, and
I felt worse for him when he had to interact with Chris Christie. But I mean, so this is what you get all of the discussion about, rather than for all the people who talk so much about, I want to hear their policy views and I want to be able to distinguish and where's the daylight between all the candidates on this issue and that issue.
Look, there's Tim Scott's girlfriend. She's a tall blonde.
Yeah, I guess she's like she's been reported on before, so it's not late breaking news here, but she's like a real estate person in Charleston, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Good for him. And again, Tim Scott, never been married.
That's why you love him.
I love him for that, and some other reasons. He had a couple of good moments. He was right on college campuses, the ignorance being perpetrated on college campuses by administrators, professors, and students alike. Maybe we should think about stopping to subsidize them all. Yeah. Go where the money is. And by the way, Jason Smith, the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, has announced they're going to at least explore that process to put some meat to that bone that Tim Scott raised. This is Jason Smith yesterday on with McCallum.
We're actually going to be holding a committee hearing a week from today. We'll be announcing that. Well, I guess I just announced that. But what we have been finding out, and of course we handle the tax code, being the Ways and Means Committee, is all the tax treatments that, of course, you see universities have, whether it's these huge billion-dollar endowments. It's quite alarming how they are looking at preferred speech rather than freedom of speech. And we have found in a lot of these 501c organizations that in fact are sending money to terrorist organizations. And so this is something we're going to have to fix in the tax code. We should not be using tax benefits to fund terrorism, especially terrorism overseas.
You know what's funny about Jason Smith, just as a quick aside?
Yeah.
You've seen him before, right? Seen him on TV and stuff. Mm-hmm. His voice doesn't fit his body.
No.
He's one of those guys where the voice is surprising. It doesn't fit. It doesn't. But anyway, so two things there. One is colleges, universities, your tax-exempt endowments and so forth, not to mention those federally subsidized tuition. And research grants and so forth. And then secondly, C3 organizations that are used to funnel money to terrorist organizations. This is something that actually none of the candidates picked up on. They should have gone one step further than Scott did, and also mentioned Confucius Institutes when they talked about the Chinese Communist Party. They forgot to mention that we also will prohibit universities from accepting billions of dollars from state sponsors of terror or safe havens for terror like Qatar. As we have now documented and we have been witnessing with Hamas leadership resting comfortably in Qatar while the rank-and-file terrorists committed those atrocities on October 7th. And so that was something I thought that the candidates missed.
And Hamas is winning the PR war because of universities, because of the professors that are supporting them and then the protesters that are out there on the streets.
At least among the young, yeah.
Yeah, definitely winning the PR war. Crazy. Oh, real quick, we got a text message. Dan and Amy, Nikki Haley should have slapped him Will Smith style. that would have lightened things up a lot.
You get your daughter out of your
mouth.
Yeah, whack. That would have been fun. I would have been down for that. No, I'm kidding, but yeah, I get it. One more of my favorite moments, and then we'll take yours too. This Tim Scott again. And I thought it was very, very nice of Tim Scott to explain to Lester Holt how the economics in the energy sector actually work.
We have an opportunity as Americans to actually export the surplus energy that we create in our nation and disconnect from China and from murderous dictators and tyrants around the world.
Your time is up, but let me just follow up. The idea of pumping gas, of turning on pipelines, that doesn't make gas cheaper that day. I'm talking about you become president. What can you do specifically to help people feel better about their situation or be better with their situation?
Well, actually, it does, to be honest with you. The way that the economy works is it works on the ability to anticipate excess supply versus the demand. When that happens, confidence drives our prices down because we know there's going to be a greater surplus. When you allow for those who have leases to actually start drilling, to start using those leases for more energy excavation, you put our economy in the strongest position. And as a result of that, prices start going down. That is the kind of economy that, as President of the United States, I would lead this.
So, Lester, here's how the economy works, the private economy. I know you don't believe in it, because the nature of that question, how do you reduce prices on day one? What is Lester Holt looking for? Government action, not in terms of freeing up the private sector in its productive capacity, but in terms of, hey, are you going to come in and nationalize the oil industry and put price caps on the price of gas? That's the mindset of the government press corps, is all things run through the government, and it's through government diktats that you provide relief or benefits to the American people, rather than through the unleashing of our free enterprise system, which is what Tim Scott had to explain to Lester Holt. I love that moment. It's not going to get any play because it is substantive and it's indicative of the dichotomy in worldviews between the left and conservatives.
And he schooled him in a very gentleman way.
Yeah, it was. I thought that was good. Bob in Buffalo Grove, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Off to another great start today.
That's what we do.
I love the Vivek comment. Too bad the other candidates didn't jump on it also. And then today I'll be watching Commentary News, and I wonder if they'll address Vivek's little comment with regards to the news media. One more soundbite you got to play is Vivek's interchange with Haley with regards to her high heels in Ukraine.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Bob. All right, we'll get to... All right, one more Ramaswamy. This is Ramaswamy during the discussion about support for Israel, and he wasn't just talking about Nikki Haley.
I would tell him to smoke those terrorists on his southern border, and then I'll tell him as President of the United States, I'll be smoking the terrorists on our southern border. That's his responsibility. This is our responsibility. That's how we move forward. But I want to be careful to avoid making the mistakes from the neocon establishment of the past. Corrupt politicians in both parties spent trillions, killed millions, made billions for themselves in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, fighting wars that sent thousands of our sons and daughters, people my age, to die in wars that did not advance anyone's interests, adding $7 trillion to our national debt. And Joe Biden sold off our foreign policy. Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, got a $5 million bribe from Ukraine. That's why we're sending $200 billion back to that same country. The fact of the matter is the Republican Party is not that much better. You have the likes of Nikki Haley, who stepped down from her time at the UN. Bankrupt or in debt was her family. Then she becomes a military contractor. She joins the board of Boeing and otherwise, and is now a multimillionaire. So I think that that's wrong when Republicans do it or Democrats do it. That's the choice we face. Do you want a leader from a different generation who's going to put this country first, or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
All right, Mr.
In which case we've got two of them on stage.
Mr. Ramaswamy, thank you.
People didn't catch that in case we got two of them on stage.
Right.
Because you're talking about Ron DeSantis and the whole cowboy boots controversy. Controversy in quotation marks.
I know, that's so ridiculous. Cowboy boots.
Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels. Okay. All right. Well,
I think who won the debate was somebody who is 20 minutes away, and that's President Trump.
I will also quickly cancel the student visas of all Hamas sympathizers on college campuses, which have been infested with radicalism like never before. College campuses. On day one, I will stop the invasion of our southern border. We will stop it. 1 point, think of this.
I mean, it's so true. I don't care what he tweets anymore, what clowns he has surrounded himself with. When he was in charge, we had a secure border. We weren't involved or funding two wars, and inflation was low.
Mm-hmm.
Life was so much better.
I mean, that's, the statement he made about visas is a statement that Ron DeSantis, I think, was the first one who made it, proposed it. But, yeah, I get it. I mean, that's my point with DeSantis and Haley battling it out for second place this late in the game, this close to the first caucus. It puts Trump in a strong position he'll maintain after last night, I suspect. Coming up at 6:06, we'll turn to things local, a vicious armed robbery in Beverly, 6:06.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Charges filed against 2 people accused of killing a woman in an attempted robbery. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
The U.S. retaliates again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, launching airstrikes in Syria, hitting a warehouse full of weapons used by Iran-backed militants who've been attacking us.
U.S. forces have been attacked 42 times across the Middle East in the last 4 weeks. And last night, U.S. defense officials confirmed to Fox that off the coast of Yemen, Houthis shot down a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone. These drones are for intelligence and surveillance.
Fox's Alex Hogan in Israel. There are reports of negotiations on a possible 3-day pause to the war in Gaza to allow more humanitarian aid to flow to civilians now in shelters in exchange, potentially for Hamas releasing some hostages. But Israel's defense minister insisted yesterday.
There is no ceasefire. Gaza civilians are fleeing from the north to the south because they understand Hamas is using them as human shield.
5 Republicans running for president all supported Israel in a debate last night on NBC.
America is here, no matter what it is you need at any time, to preserve the state of Israel.
That's Chris Christie. They also talked about those attacks on U.S. bases. Here's Ron DeSantis and Tim Scott.
You harm a hair on the head of an American service member, and you are going to have hell to pay.
You actually have to cut off the head of the snake, and the head of the snake is Iran.
Vivek Ramaswamy, critical of U.S. aid to Ukraine, offered different foreign policy.
Do you want a leader from a different generation who's going to put this country first? Or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
A swipe at Nikki Haley, who replied, they're 5-inch heels. And
I wear heels. They're not for a fashion statement. They're for ammunition.
Haley, in another exchange, called Ramaswamy scum. Well, like the first 2 debates, former President Trump was a no-show. Instead, the Republican frontrunner held a rally near that Miami site.
Israel-Ukraine would have never happened under the Trump administration.
Actors can get back to work in Hollywood. There's a tentative agreement to end the strike that started in July, halting a lot of TV and film production. America's listening to Fox News.
44 degrees in Chicago. 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A suspect and a victim wounded in a West Loop shootout following a crash Wednesday night. Chicago police say a 29-year-old man was involved in that crash. He was standing outside his car when another vehicle pulled alongside. 3 armed suspects then jumped out. The victim, who has a concealed carry license, got into a shootout with the suspects. The victim was struck 3 times. One of the suspects showed up later at an area hospital and was placed into custody. Charges have been filed against 2 people accused of killing a woman during an attempted robbery in the south suburbs over the weekend. According to Worth Police, 22-year-old Tamara Johnson and 23-year-old Jason Johnson have both been charged with first-degree murder for their alleged role in the shooting death of Johnny Klein. Stage 3 of jury selection in the Ed Burke trial. Powerful former Chicago alderman is on trial for public corruption. Right now, attorneys are trying to whittle a pool of more than 50 potential jurors down to 12 and 4 alternates. So far, less than 30 have made it through the questioning. A judge denying pretrial release for a Chicago man accused of stealing $1,700 worth of merchandise from an Oak Brook Terrace Home Depot store. Timothy Waymeyer faces charges of burglary and retail theft. He took 25 cases of flooring from the Home Depot Tuesday. According to prosecutors, officers then arrested him as he attempted to flee the store. Week 10 of Thursday Night Football features a pair of last-place teams, Bears and Panthers at Soldier Field, and head coach Matt Eberflus says it will be Tyson Bagent again, stepping in for the injured Justin Fields at quarterback.
Update on Justin Fields. He's progressing every day. He is not medically cleared yet. And Bagent will be our starter for this game, and Peterman will back him up.
A go-ahead layup with 7.1 seconds left in the overtime. Suns beat the Bulls 116-115. Also last night, it was in college hoops, Loyola losing to number 9 Florida Atlantic 75-62. The news is a service of the Fireplace and Chimney Authority, Chicagoland's largest and most respected fireplace and chimney company. Call to schedule your appointment today, 630-279-8500, or visit their showrooms in Lisle or Elmhurst. A check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Calling all Patriots! Are you ready for the adventure of a lifetime? Journey with me on the Patriots Alaska Cruise in June 2024. We'll dive deep into geopolitical trends and unpack the influences shaping the world today. It's an incredible opportunity to engage with me and other Patriots on an epic 7-day journey. Witness the untouched wilderness of Alaska while discussing America's future. Join us from June 29th to July 6, 2024. Book online, patriotsalaskacruise.com.
I'm Scott, the owner of Solid Fire Pits. When I began welding my custom-made fire pits for friends and family, I shared them on TikTok because I was just so proud of them. Check it out. That's beautiful. I posted every new fire pit design and more people kept ordering, from 26 states and counting. Then on my birthday, I had my best sales ever. Now how can the universe beat that?
Solid Fire Pits is just one of the 5 million U.S. businesses that rely on TikTok every day. TikTok sparks business.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices of America's greatest heroes. Heroes like Bristol, Connecticut Police Sergeant Dustin DeMonte. He sustained fatal gunshot wounds after responding to a domestic violence incident, leaving behind his expectant wife and 2 children. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the DeMonte family home, lifting a financial burden. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a multi-state PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group, as well as other teaching hospitals around the nation. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from HealthInsuranceMentors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 25-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit HealthInsuranceMentors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Kennedy 39 right now. O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. You got a flash of brake lights between Nagel and Montrose. Stevenson right now. Inbound is 32 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Outbound right now, due to an earlier accident, you've got some jam-ups between Cicero and Harlem. Dan Ryan already 20 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Express lanes jammed up this morning between 43rd and the Stevenson. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sun, patchy clouds, and breezy. High today at 56. Clear tonight and chilly, low 39. Sunny day tomorrow, the high at 49. For tomorrow night, clear to partly cloudy, low 34. And then clouds and sun on Saturday, the high Saturday afternoon reaching 50. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Partly cloudy, 44 at O'Hare, 45 Midway, and 46 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman. Listen Saturday mornings at 8. Learn more at willsave.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We've got 3 commentaries on Chicago for you. The Pettiford family in Beverly, a stolen car on the north side of the city, and the old Mike Ditka's restaurant downtown. Let's start in Beverly. A mom and 12-year-old daughter come home
from volleyball,
park the car in the garage, and then this happens.
She's yelling, "They're in my purse," because I kept saying, "Give us your keys, give us your keys."
Two guys roll up on her and her daughter. 12-year-old daughter, runs in the house. She is accosted before she can get to the door. And by the way, one of them they're both armed. One of them has a gun with an extended clip. You know, when are we going to get some common sense gun laws in Chicago?
They threw her to the ground. She's screaming for her life. So scared of what's going to happen.
Fortunately, no one was hurt. And so that's just an armed robbery. That just goes in CompStat as one armed robbery. Murders are still down. Shootings are still down. So that's just big city living. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
I know they weren't harmed physically because then her husband, Jeff, ran out and gave them the keys. But she's changed forever.
The nighttime is really hard. Like, I don't want to go outside. I go in waves of, like, being okay and being not okay, trying to stay strong for my kids.
And her husband, I mean, he's just talking about how this is more, than, well, I'll let him say it.
A carjacking isn't just somebody stealing a car. But then when you see something like that and see the trauma that it causes a family, a wife, a daughter, then it becomes more real.
Yeah, is it real now? On the 2 assailants?
The scream, they talk about blood curdling and all that, but that coming from your daughter, you don't ever want to hear. I'll never forget that sound. When they came at me and I looked at them, they weren't afraid. I mean, I'm not small. I came running directly at them, and the thought wasn't, oh no, let's get out of here. It's, let's turn around and potentially shoot this person.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also reach us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. I told you one of my neighbors, she had a gun pointed at her head. They followed her home from an ATM, went into the garage in Lakeview, and she said they had no soul. Like, you could see through, like, there was nothing there in their eyes. They were young kids.
Well, the obvious question is, how did we fail those young men? Those, I'm sure at one point, honor students, right? What is it we're not doing?
We failed them. Kim Fox failed them with their policies because if there's no rules, there's chaos. And this is chaotic. This is what happens when you don't set boundaries. You said it yesterday. Kids want rules. They want discipline. And I know that firsthand. I mean, they want structure. They want a schedule. And without, there's no consequences for their actions, so they're just going to keep doing it. Why not? Maybe they think it's fun. Gives them something to do, something to participate in.
The scream when that woman was accosted, several individuals stop in the middle of the street on a Sunday afternoon and accost a middle-aged woman on the sidewalk in Lakeview and, rob her. And that blood-curdling scream that people remember that I turned into a TV ad during the election and then was excoriated by the Chicago Press Corps and, of course, all the Democrats. I'm not going to vote for your candidate because of what you did. Okay. All right. I mean, well, of course they weren't. But that the mentality.
Right. Like
you
just lost my vote. Well, I never had it.
But the mentality, showing people what's happening, having them be forced to confront that attack in Lakeview last year, this attack in Beverly. I don't want to confront it. I want to be the ostrich. I don't want to believe it's happening until it happens. Until it happens to you or somebody you care about. And that's just as much of a cultural psychosis in Chicago as the description that Mr. Pettiford had of the criminals. There are multiple psychoses at play in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. But Chicagoland, really, is where it is most pronounced. The screams. Does that resonate now when you see it? You have to see it? You can't just read the stories? Or you don't want to see it? You only want to read the stories, or you only want to look at statistics, and if the arrow is going down or up momentarily in one category of Class X felonies, and to try to find some silver lining to say things are getting better. It's not so bad. Tell that to the Pettiford family. Phil in Darien, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, guys. Listen. Really, what's the problem? You got some overprivileged, hard-working honkies that earned probably everything they have, I'm sure, and you got some underprivileged black and brown. Just give them whatever they want, and nothing going to happen to them anyway. No cash bail. I mean, really, what's the problem here?
Thanks for the call, Phil. Just to that point, let me fold in another commentary on Chicago, since I said we had three.
Yeah, what's the other one?
Skokie man driving a stolen car suffered a broken nose and a closed head injury after multiple people tracked him down and detained him for Chicago police at a Northside gas station. Cops responded to calls of a battery in progress at the Shell station on Northwestern Avenue. When they arrived, they found multiple people on top of a 29-year-old who had stolen Palatine man's car.
No, don't mess with us in the northwest suburbs.
Uh-huh.
Did you see his face?
Yeah, they worked him over pretty good.
Yeah, they did.
They used LoJack to track him down, and they found him at this gas station, and then they
took care
came
of business.
upon him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So why is that interesting? Court records show that this individual completed 2 years of probation in July for another stolen motor vehicle case. In that incident, prosecutors accused him of breaking into a Skokie auto shop, plowing a Toyota Camry through the garage door, crashing into another car in the lot. He then returned to the garage and drove away with a Mercedes.
Oh, he didn't like the Toyota?
Mm-hmm. Charged with felony possession of a stolen motor vehicle, he was subsequently released from custody to await trial. Because he's not a danger to the public.
Oh, no, not at all.
The Safety Act.
But the public was a danger to him. He got old schooled.
Is that how it's going to be? Is that how you want it to be?
I don't want it to be that way, but I feel that man's rage. You get your car stolen and you know exactly where it is. you're going right there.
Oh, what they did doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
What they did to get their car back and to detain this person until the police came, that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the underlying dynamic, of course. Since the Pritzker Purge Law was invoked, just another case. But hey, that's a nonviolent crime. Stealing cars, right? It's a nonviolent crime. He stole that Kia. And the previous car he stole was breaking into a Skokie auto shop, plowing a Camry through the garage door, crashing into another car. That's a nonviolent crime.
And taking a Mercedes.
These aren't violent individuals.
Well, I wonder what they're going to do with the Beverly guys when they arrest them.
They're nonviolent offenders. We're going to also have a majority of the city continue to subscribe to that fiction. Nonviolent offenders.
Well, we're going to stay on this because if they don't hold them. The two Beverly guys that did this to that family, once they get them, hopefully they will. It'll be interesting to see if they let them out on electronic monitoring.
Yeah.
Because they didn't pull a trigger. They didn't hit them.
Yeah, it's high-profile cases. It's political.
Okay.
Tony, Riverside.
Good morning. I look forward to meeting you on Saturday. You know, some of the adages that I grew up with, like the nuns used to always tell us, idle hands are the devil's workshop. And I know, Amy, you said this is Kim Fox's fault. No, this starts at home. I mean, there's no accountability. There's no responsibility. There's nothing. It's the parents, period. They don't have to work. They don't have to do anything. They get everything free. Yeah, idle hands are the devil's workshop.
Thanks for the call, Tony. Guy in Blue Island.
Hello?
Hey, Guy, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Dan and Amy. I want to get back to the Beverly incident. If the dad came out instead of with the car keys with an AR-15, it would have been a different story.
Well, yeah.
Well, it could have
Thanks
been a
for
shootout,
the call,
though,
Guy.
because then there'd be, I mean, Lord knows what those guys would have done.
I guess that Mr. Petticord posted something, or he sent it to a group of individuals, and somebody sent it to me. Last night, Frankie, Michelle, and I were carjacked at gunpoint in our backyard. Burke, thank God, was at St. Ignatius Religious Retreat. We're all physically fine. Two men seemed to have followed Michelle home from picking up Frankie and her friends at volleyball at the Evergreen Athletic Center. They walked up to our driveway, accosted Michelle just before she reached the back door. Frankie, thank God, was a few feet ahead of Michelle and managed to get inside screaming. She yelled, "Robbers!" I ran down the stairs and out the back door. Frankie was nothing less than courageous. She had the peace of mind to slam the door closed, let me know what was happening, and then go upstairs and call 911.
Good.
Michelle was knocked down. The men yell at her for her keys, as we heard. The men steal her purse, search for the keys. No one can find anything in Michelle's purse, criminals included. As she yelled, "The keys are in my purse," over and over, they repeatedly pointed their pistols at her, threatening to shoot her, telling her not to look at their face, one being unmasked, one masked, both dressed in all black. Michelle endured minutes that felt like hours of a nightmare. Not thinking, just reacting, I ran out the back door at the men and Michelle. They turned around toward me as I yelled and ran at them. One racked his pistol, and they came toward me with their guns pointed at me. One was telling the other to, quote, shoot his ass, unquote. I saw the guns, stopped, hands up, offered them my money and wallet, hoping the gun in my face wouldn't be fired. They asked me for keys to open the garage door as they brought me across the driveway with a gun to the back of my head. Michelle the same. Eventually, I convinced them not to look for Michelle's keys, but to take my car, which had the keys inside. I told one of the men how to start the car and showed him where the key was, as the other pushed Michelle to the ground after she was able to open the garage door. They argued about taking both vehicles. One was calling the other stupid.
Oh, my God.
They both left in my 2012 Audi A7, maybe worth $12,000. We went inside. Frankie handed me the phone to speak to the 911 operator. 13 minutes later, the police came. They are pretty relaxed with no lights, or having dealt with this so often, I guess has made them routine for many of them. While everyone in my family is physically okay, we have all been impacted for life. For life. Emphasis by me. Michelle is not okay, his wife. Frankie has slept with us, his daughter, if you call that sleep, and had me check the doors and windows 3 times for fear these animals are coming back.
Uh-oh.
I'm not going to go into detail, and will provide anyone with the video I captured of this horrific scene so all the men in this text can understand precisely what happened. Understand this could have easily been your wife, daughter, son, mother, yourself. The city is no longer discriminating as to where this rampant violence occurs. I ask all of you men who are tasked with protecting your family, when is enough enough? Does that gun have to go off and kill me, you, my daughter, or your wife, your daughter, wife or son, for us to wake up and do something about this senseless violence? I don't want to share this most vulnerable and scary incident of my life with the public. It's not natural for Michelle and I to share like this, but we're hoping it can bring some change to our neighborhood and city. If not this and now, then what and when? And he goes on to thank all the neighbors who have expressed support and concern. And please hug your family and share this with anyone who needs to hear it.
And thank God they live in, they love their Beverly neighbors, because Michelle thanked them yesterday.
Beverly is a really, really unique place where it doesn't matter if you know the person or not, you're going to support them.
Mm-hmm.
That is a chilling statement you just read from
Yeah.
Jeffrey. Oh, it's
Well,
like you were there.
What are you talking about? Nobody was injured. It's just a statistic. It just happens in big cities. It's not just happening in Chicago, it's happening elsewhere too, so, you know.
And they'll find his car soon. It will be used in another crime and then abandoned. It's normally what happens.
Did that robbery of the woman in Lakeview, did that change anything a year ago? No. More than a year ago. A year ago last summer? No. Is this going to change anything? No. Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. 2 blocks away from the 16th Police District last Saturday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Couple, guys driving around, a bunch of gangbangers. Saw a guy, asked him what gang he was in. He's like, I'm not in the gang. They shot him in the back twice. So he's currently still recuperating. And this is, kids in the park, just 100 feet away playing with their families, all, jumping on the ground. They found like 11 shell casings or something. It's insane. It's never going to end, ever. Have a good one.
Thanks for well, maybe if they could get jobs that provided a livable wage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Kyle in Beverly.
Hi, how are you? Wanted to just 100 feet away, please. Hello?
Yeah, we're
go
here.
ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, no, I just want Kyle from Beverly, 103rd and Western. Just wanted to share my deepest sympathies for that family. I'm so sorry they had to go through that, and I thank God that they're okay. I also would just like to state that this type of stuff with the garages being robbed and all that, it's been going on for a long, long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
And these people are not from Beverly. They come over from Vincennes and over by the highway by 99th Street, and they rob all of us because we work our tails off. But you know what the funniest part is about Beverly? They're not telling you this. Is that all that Beverly is cops and union workers, okay? Which union workers, period. And these people have been told to vote Democrat for like almost 100 years. And look what that got them. Look what that got them. My deepest sympathies to the families.
Thanks for the call, Kyle. 100%. 100% what Kyle said.
Mm-hmm.
That's why nothing will change, despite Mr. Petticord's plea. One more commentary on what Chicago has become.
What else do you have? Oh, you have 3. There's a third, right?
The third is the old Ditka's restaurant on Chestnut.
Oh, what happened? They had a cigar room there, too. I remember that.
Well, it became a hotel, and now it's going to become a homeless shelter.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's where Selena is. That's
The Selena Hotel.
Yeah.
They're laying off their workers. It's going to be a homeless shelter. It previously housed migrants, and the story that you're not getting from the Chicago Press Corps, how this all happened, like this is some part of some master plan and so forth. Even if it was, it's disturbing. But this is a company that's in trouble. A $25 million foreclosure dispute over a hotel steps from the Mag Mile due to the struggles of a hospitality startup in danger of having its stock delisted from the NASDAQ exchange. Hotel Capital
the real estate investment firm, defaulted on a $20 million mortgage secured for that site for a hotel at 100 East Chestnut, formerly known as the Tremont, now Selena. And now it owes $25 million to the lender that owns the note, which is an investment arm of JLL. The particular detail is not important, but so the city is, they're going under, and so the city is going to take this opportunity, and they're going to take the opportunity the city provides to provide funding if they turn their hotel into a homeless shelter. So from Mike Ditka's pre-COVID to a homeless shelter post-COVID.
But those 16 employees, they were so sad. They had a little press conference yesterday outside the hotel.
Well, I got a letter from the hotel saying that my co-workers and I are out of work as of this Friday. I couldn't believe it. I feel very betrayed.
Yeah. Big city living. Perhaps a new homeless shelter or migrant shelter will spring up to employ those displaced hospitality industry workers. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Structural foundation problems? Permaseal can help. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer, president of Permaseal. Last year's severe drought has homeowners across Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana experiencing symptoms of structural foundation issues. Cracked brickwork or caulking, uneven floors, new cracks in the drywall or ceiling, doors or windows that no longer open or shut properly, or basement walls that are leaning or bowing. All of these can be signs of a structural foundation issue. Too often we hear of homeowners paying for an expensive consultation just to determine the problem. Don't be one of them. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL. Our certified structural consultants will thoroughly evaluate your foundation and offer you a permanent solution at absolutely no charge. Life's frustrating enough. Let's fix what we can and avoid even bigger problems. Call Permaseal today, 800-421-7325, or visit permaseal.net.
When life ends, your legacy begins. Ensure your legacy lives on at Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties. Take advantage of 0% financing, lock in today's prices, and safeguard yourself against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, returning to our discussion of last night's Republican presidential debate, any issues that were not covered that you wish would have been? 6:36.
And later, I want you to meet Double D Dave. Oh, yeah. He got some implants, but he's not transitioning. Now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
42 degrees at 6:30 on AM 560. The Answer. 5 presidential hopefuls on stage in Miami for the third primary debate that aired on NBC News. Fox's Brooke Sigmund recaps the night.
All 5 candidates came out swinging, but the biggest clashes were still between former Ambassador Nikki Haley and political newcomer Vivek Ramaswamy.
In the last debate, she made fun of me for actually joining TikTok while her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time. So you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my daughter out of your voice. And abortion was front and center after Tuesday's elections dealt a blow to the pro-life movement. In Ohio, 56% of voters passed an amendment to add abortion protections to the state's constitution. And new polling from CNN reveals nearly 7 in 10 voters will actually consider that issue when casting their ballots next November.
Fox's Brooke Sigmund. Defense officials say the U.S. has launched an airstrike on a weapons storage facility in Syria used by the Iran Revolutionary Guard and affiliated groups. President Biden, according to reports, ordered the strike in response to U.S. forces being injured in Iraq and Syria. Los Angeles police had to break up fistfights in front of the Museum of Tolerance last night after it screened footage of the October 7 Hamas terror attack on Israel. The longest actors' strike against film and TV studios in Hollywood history ending. An agreement will now go to the SAG-AFTRA National Board. Tracy Chapman has become the first black woman to win an award from the Country Music Association. Her 1988 classic Fast Car was re-recorded this year by Luke Combs and hit number 1 on both the country and AC charts. The Bulls narrowly lost to Phoenix 116-115 in overtime. Week 10's edition of Thursday Night Football featuring a pair of last-place teams, Bears and Panthers at Soldier Field. College hoops last night, Loyola lost to number 9, Florida Atlantic. The news is a service of Blindster.com. Blindster.com can help you save big on custom faux wood blind shutters and cellular shades and more. Get custom blinds at low prices and free shipping at Blindster.com. 6:35, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Best Dental Group of Bartlett, the Illinois Family Institute, and by Alpha Wealth Group.
Get ready for an event like no other. It's Glock Days at Gat Guns in East Dundee, Illinois, happening on November 18th and 19th. Are you a Glock enthusiast? Or maybe you're just curious about what makes Glock the gold standard in firearms? Well, mark your calendars, because on November 18th, Gat Guns has the Glock rep right there in store, ready to answer all your burning questions. Gat Guns is loaded up with hundreds of Glock pistols and even more Glock accessories. Whether you're a seasoned pro or a first-time buyer, they've got something special just for you. Don't miss this Gat Guns exclusive sales event, where you will find unbelievable deals and discounts on most of the Glock lineup. While you're there, enter to win a new Glock pistol. So, gear up, lock in, and join Gat Guns for Glock Days on November 18th and 19th, Saturday and Sunday at Gat Guns in East Dundee, Illinois. This event is not to be missed. For more information and directions, visit gatguns.com. That's gatguns.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Hi, my name is Peg. I'm a wife, mother, and grandmother. Family is so important to me, and I want to stay healthy so that I can continue to do the things that I enjoy doing with all of them. I would recommend Balance of Nature. It's so easy to do every day. I feel great, and who doesn't want to feel great?
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Make the hiring process work for you. With Indeed's end-to-end hiring solution, you can attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
6:39, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Edens, 31 Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Kennedy right now Holding steady at 70 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Stevenson jams up inbound first to Central. Dan Ryan stop and slow inbound Garfield up through Roosevelt. 57 in the Bishop Ford already jamming into the Ryan merge. DuSable Lakeshore Drive southbound between Lawrence and Montrose. An accident has 3 left lanes blocked. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny, highs in the mid-50s today, but gusty west winds at 20 miles an hour. Currently 42. Your next news is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by IDT. Eliminate paper files with the IoT Smart Connected Scanning Device. Find them at ready4IDT.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Returning to last night's Republican presidential debate. Any issues covered that any issues not covered, I should say, that you wish would have been covered? A lot of time was spent on war, understandably so, Israel and Ukraine. There was certainly more daylight on Ukraine than on Israel. Most of the candidates, all of the candidates standing with Israel and its response to the terrorist attack by Hamas. The only one where there's some daylight, I would argue, is Ramaswamy, who is presenting his position as supporting Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Israelis doing what they need to do vociferously, but
not with Ukraine.
But with respect to aid, as it pertains to Israel, let them fight their own fight. They have the capacity to do so, and we should stand down, essentially, other than providing, rhetorical and cultural support. He's a little dicey on the cash or the weapons. On Ukraine, there's there's a little bit of daylight between DeSantis and the other candidates. But, of course, the most daylight is between Ramaswamy and the other candidates. Ramaswamy is in the J.D. Vance camp, which is no more. And here's how he described his view compared to those of his competitors last night.
And I'm actually enjoying watching the Ukraine hawks quietly, delicately tiptoe back from their position as this thing has unwound into a disaster. The first half of this race, I was the only person standing for it. Now they're actually quietly coming around to being more cautious, as they should. Level with the American people here. Ukraine is not a paragon of democracy. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties. It has consolidated all media into one state TV media arm. That's not democratic. It has threatened not to hold elections this year unless the U.S. forks over more money. That is not democratic. It has celebrated a Nazi in its ranks, the comedian in cargo pants, a man called Zelensky, doing it in their own ranks. That is not democratic. More facts for you that you won't hear from the mainstream in either party or the mainstream media. The regions of Ukraine that are occupied by Russia right now in the Donbass, Luhansk, Donetsk. These are Russian-speaking regions that have not even been part of Ukraine since 2014, that other people probably couldn't name those provinces for you. Those are the hard facts. And so to frame this as some kind of battle between good versus evil, don't buy it. And I'd like the likes of the sharpest of the war hawks on Ukraine, Nikki Haley, to have some accountability and answer. Do you want to use U.S. taxpayer money to fund the banning of Christians? That is actually what's happening. They're using the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. They have banned them. The Ukrainian parliament just did this last week, supported by our dollars. And I think you owe it to the American people, Nikki, to at least this
Mr.
one time at least condemn.
Thank you. That's time.
At least to
Mr.
condemn
Ramaswamy,
their
thank
banning
you.
of Christians.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
or else
thank
we're
you.
talking out of both sides.
Mr. Ramaswamy, thank you. We asked the questions. Ambassador Haley.
Actually, no, you don't just ask the questions, Kristen Walker. The candidates can ask questions of one another, too, and I wish there would have been more time to shoot back again at Welker. that was one of those moments where she took the mask off. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Now, on this matter, DeSantis, who's moved around a little bit on it, supports ongoing support of Ukraine, but in a more limited fashion. He doesn't believe we should have essentially a PPP program for Ukrainians' government sector.
Right, because that's what we're funding their small businesses and paying their first responders' salaries.
Right. We shouldn't be doing that. He also sort of put some finality to it, talking about this in the terms of, a short period of time where this support will continue until it's no longer sustainable if there's not progress made. The others, of course, are more aligned with sort of the establishment of both parties inside the Beltway, which is to say, and I'm not necessarily ridiculing their position, I'm just saying what it is, that, look, we're dealing through Ukraine body blows to the military of one of America's enemies, that would be Putin and the Russians, and it's a small price to pay for what the Ukrainians are able to do, even if it's not going as well as we had hoped. And on that matter, they won't call it a stalemate. I'm talking about the Biden administration. We've had even supporters of ongoing Ukraine funding call it a stalemate, because that seems to be what it is. I mean, we've had them on this show saying that. But just like they won't call the situation at the border crisis, it's a challenge. John Kirby, the spokesman for the National Security Council, he's not going to get into the business of characterizing this on behalf of the Ukrainians. He'll let them characterize it. He'll let the comedian in cargo pants, as Ramaswamy called him, characterize it.
We're not going to characterize Ukrainian military operations. They can speak for this. President Zelensky talked about this on Sunday, that he does not believe that they are in a stalemate, but that is for him and his commanders to talk about. What I can tell you is that the front from the Donbass area all the way down towards Zaporizhzhia and beyond, remains an active front. And there is fighting along that front, all along that front. The Ukrainians will be the first to tell you that they aren't making and haven't made as much progress on this counteroffensive as they would like. And that's why we are so focused on making sure that we continue to provide security assistance to them so that they can make them.
Very difficult to have some accounting of this, and even if you were able to get an accounting of it, you're not going to be able to claw it back. So what's really the point? That's going to then impinge upon future funding. That's not really how it works in D.C., right? Depending on what the particular geopolitical interests are, or even more to the point, political self-interest of those making the decisions, those who have control of the purse strings.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could text us at 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment. Here's a text message. Dan and Amy, I'd like an accounting of money going to Ukraine. Might any of the money make it back to the Bidens?
Oh, yeah, well, the boomerang.
It might have in the past, but no.
Yeah,
I think there's a close eye on that right now.
Well, so I want to go back to other issues that weren't covered.
Yes, issues that weren't covered.
Because so much time was spent on issues where there isn't that much daylight, and you missed opportunities for, and this is part of the problem when you partner with NBC, it missed opportunities for Republicans to talk about issues that could exploit the weakness of Democrat socialist governance, both in D.C. and across the country. Despite what happened on Tuesday with the elections in places like Virginia and Ohio and Kentucky, Democrats have a huge vulnerability on K-12 education because of what's happened to K-12 education. During COVID, as more recognition of the results of school lockdowns is occurring, there's a huge liability there. I know Daniel Cameron attempted to make this case against Beshear, and he lost, so you say, oh, well, it doesn't work. Well, It's not a single issue. It's complicated, but this is part of the tapestry, K through 12 education. And I know it's mostly a state and local issue, but there are other state and local issues where we decide, where federal elected officials weigh in. Certainly a president will weigh in. And there are some things that are done for education at the federal level. Of course, we have a Department of Education, even though we shouldn't. And yesterday was an opportunity for a bit of spotlighting on Illinois, to spotlight a larger issue. Because today's the day that the Invest in Kids, the tax credit scholarship program, goes away in Illinois. And talking about K through 12 education, and in state after state, if you look at the report cards, where half to 2/3 of kids are not reading, and on the math, in some places like Illinois, 3/4, or doing math at grade level. And this is all teachers union dominated, one of the principal financiers of the Democrat Party. They are the opponents of school choice, whether it was Roy Cooper in North Carolina, Democrat, swing state, whether it's the efforts in Arizona to undo what Republicans have done there in terms of advancing school choice under the new Democrat leadership there, Katie Hobbs at the top of that, the governor. Whether it's Democrat socialists in Illinois, not a swing state, but still an example, a real-world example. You're taking away, and by the way, it's interesting, we have members of Congress from the Illinois delegation, like Calamity Jan Schakowsky, wife of Creamy Bob.
Ew, I hate that word.
She's saying, we got to get rid of this tax credit scholarship program. We have to get rid of 9,500 scholarships to mostly lower to middle income minority families.
And the kids are trying. I mean, there's commercials that are playing on television. There's commercials that are playing on the radio. Testimonials from these children saying, "Hey, I love where I go to school, and I appreciate this." And I don't know if it's going to move the needle. I mean, they went and they protested outside Pritzker's office.
That's over. That's done. They had their opportunity and they missed it. They don't want to challenge the political power structure in the state. This 11th hour business, this trade unions, this op-ed in the NPR Times, state-funded media, Jim Sweeney, Jim Connolly, Jim Coyne, Donald Finn. These are all the presidents and business managers of trade unions, operating engineers, laborers, plumbers, 130, electrical workers. The headline, why 4 trade unions want lawmakers to renew Invest in Kids. It's wonderful. It comes out a couple days before this just dissipates in veto session. In veto session. Where were they in the spring? And by the way, there's some interest here, and that's fine because of the interest in having scholarships available for young people who want to go into the trades and making that part of educational choice too. All for it. Great. So why not more vociferous? As labor unions, blah, 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 we're fortunate to live in a state that not only provides quality public school options for parents to choose from, but also has options for low-income parents who desire other educational alternatives, including programs we're prepared to launch to educate students for the union trades. The Invest in Kids Act has been amended to include school programs structured around a trade curriculum, so kids are prepared to go directly into apprenticeships. We'll encourage more minority and financially disadvantaged children to participate in the trades and create pathways out of poverty with the direct opportunity for stable, good-paying union careers. Okay. So what? This 11th hour op-ed, what I don't hear and I don't see, and this is why it's going to go away, is a statement from these powerful trade unions. By the way, if this isn't renewed, Speaker Chris Welch, we are going to hold you politically responsible because we know you are Pritzker's hatchet man on this. And by extension, we're going to hold your caucus responsible. And by extension, we're going to hold the ponderous Pritzker responsible if this goes away. That's what I don't hear. And that's why it's going to go away, in addition to the choices Illinoisans have made with respect to the leadership of the state. But that's more of the local politics of it. The national politics, and by the way, Tim Scott has made this a big issue at the national level, school choice. And Ron DeSantis presides over the most successful school choice program and the biggest and most successful in the country. So there's a lot of opportunity to talk about this and distinguish the GOP vision for K through 12 education from the Soviet Politburo style model of education that is most often seen, but not limited to, big city America, dominated by Democrat socialists who are otherwise providing over the lawlessness and the disintegration of all of these civic and civilizational institutions like K through 12 school systems. I mean, I've said before, I think the GOP is missing this, and a lot of other people have said this too, missing this huge issue area that buoyed Glenn Youngkin into office in Virginia. But that was on controversies around curriculum and trans issues and public and school safety and so forth. I'm talking about performance. Performance, something else people don't want to confront, and the left isn't certainly going to talk about because they have nothing to celebrate. They just celebrate teachers, and they celebrate the Dewey Decimal System and our great public schools. They just keep repeating that line. Nobody look under the covers. This is an opportunity, and when you got 5 Republican candidates for president on stage, they should have been talking about it. And I wish one of them would have introduced it at some point in the debate when it was clear that it wasn't going to be introduced by NBC. Jordan in Antioch, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Well, two things, because we kind of bounce around a topic. First thing, like on the Ukraine and the Israel, the thing that we're lacking, which we had when we had Trump and we don't have now, is real strength and real leadership is the guy from here, our leader, that goes over there and sits down with Zelensky and says, listen, sit down and shut up, and we're going to call Putin in, and we're going to broker a peace or an agreement or something, because we're not funding this anymore. What I think everybody forgets, and I know it's not this simple, but this whole thing started when one corrupt nation promised another corrupt nation that lives next to them that they wouldn't join the UN, and then they turned around and whispered to the other guy, hey, help us get into the UN. And it pissed off, sorry if I can say that, it ticked off the other corrupt. So that's how this started. And I think real leadership is having the strength what we had in Reagan, we had in a couple others, is when they go over without firing a shot and they just flex their political muscle and say this is what's going to happen because it's better for everybody. As far as Israel, strength is when we help Israel completely wipe out those that did the terrorist attack, just like we did, and with help when 9/11 happened. That's strength in that area. As far as, like, I love Vivek. I know I don't exactly understand him, but him, Tim Scott, Donald Trump, and a couple others, like you just said, Dan, we are like the Republican Party is like the pigeons at the park, and we're going after the seeds that the little old lady throws out, and we focus on that instead of poking holes in the bag and putting them on the defense. We allow them to dictate the rules of the game. We allow them to give us what we should argue about instead of, like you said, put them on the defense. Make them defend their crap decisions, their crap policies, and the result of it. And like when Pritzker was running, you had a really effective media campaign about that. Unfortunately, you couldn't get any help from the Republican Party in this state, where every day I heard an ad about the failings of the Democrat Party, Pritzker, and all of his minions. Every day I heard that from your PAC. And I think that made a difference. And I think it makes a difference nationally, locally. Quit allowing them to dictate the rules. Put them on the defense and make them defend it. Put it right in between the eyes of the people that voted for it. Thanks
for the call, Jordan. Appreciate it. All right, coming up at 7:07, we'll continue this geopolitical conversation, or at least the geopolitical aspect of it, with Stephen Bucci, Heritage Foundation.
But now let's head into that newsroom for news here at home and around the world. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Amy and Dan, President Joe Biden will be visiting Belvedere today to celebrate a union contract with the UAW president. Chicago Ridge man is accused of robbing a Des Plaines casino at gunpoint on Halloween. Chicago officials are planning to open a homeless shelter in a hotel in the Streeterville neighborhood. And a former clerk for the retirement plan for the CTA is going to prison. Last night, the Bulls lost in overtime, and the Bears are at Soldier Field tonight. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
The U.S. goes on the attack again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, for the second time.
These airstrikes were retaliation for a series of drone attacks on U.S. military facilities in the Middle East. 2 F-15 fighter jets targeted a weapons storage facility in eastern Syria used by Iran's Revolutionary Guard and other groups supported by Iran.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. There are reports of possible negotiations on a 3-day pause to the war in Gaza in exchange for Hamas releasing some hostages. Israel has said there will be no ceasefire in Gaza.
It appears Israeli forces may have located yet another tunnel entrance. They've been trying to destroy Hamas's above and below ground infrastructure. And the Israelis say overnight with new airstrikes, they were able to eliminate the head of Hamas's anti-tank missile array.
Fox's Trey Yingst near the border. All 5 Republican presidential candidates in a debate on NBC pledged support for Israel. Tim Scott says the U.S. needs to do more to stop Iran's meddling.
There's blood dripping from the hands of President Obama and President Biden.
Vivek Ramaswamy said,
Americans at home, they know the Bidenomics is a lie.
Now, when he said he has a different vision on foreign policy than his rivals, he called Nikki Haley, Dick Cheney, and 3-inch heels. She replied they're 5-inch, and she uses them for ammunition. Haley also touted her pro-life stance.
Let's focus on how to save as many babies as we can.
And after abortion ballot issue losses for Republicans in 7 states, Ron DeSantis said,
Democrats have taken a position they will not identify the point at which there should be any protection all the way up until birth. That is wrong.
Now the Republican frontrunner in the race by far skipped that debate again, calling it unwatchable. Instead, former President Trump held a rally near the Miami site.
In times like these, you can't afford to have a president who wants to be politically correct. We have to do things properly.
There have been several recent polls that show former President Trump leading President Biden head-to-head. America's listening to Fox News.
42 degrees in Chicago. It's 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. President Joe Biden will be visiting Belvedere today, celebrating the UAW union contract agreement with Chrysler parent Stellantis. He'll be there with political ally and Democrat UAW President Shawn Fain. He'll meet with Governor Pritzker and then head to a high roller political fundraiser. A Chicago Ridge man is accused of robbing a Des Plaines casino at gunpoint on Halloween. The Illinois Gaming Board announced the arrest of Ismail Ahmed Atiyad. Authorities say the 23-year-old entered the Rivers Casino October 31st wearing a black face mask and pulled out a handgun and stole $14,000 in casino chips. Gaming Board agents were then able to track him down at his Chicago Ridge home. Chicago officials are planning to open a homeless shelter in a hotel in the Streeterville neighborhood. As a result, a group of several employees at the Selena Chicago Hotel will be laid off. A student joking about having a gun is blamed for causing a lockdown at Crete Monee High School. School went into lockdown yesterday. Investigators determined the report was unfounded, and all students and staff were later released from the building. Former clerk for the retirement plan of the CTA is going to federal prison for fraudulently obtaining $356,000 in plan funds. Ayanna Nesbitt pleaded guilty earlier this year and was sentenced yesterday to a year and a day behind bars. Charges have been filed against 2 people accused of killing a woman during an attempted robbery in the south suburbs over the weekend. 22-year-old Tamara Johnson and 23-year-old Jason Johnson have both been charged with first-degree murder for their alleged role in the shooting death of Johnny Klein. Chicago sports. Suns over the Bulls in overtime, 116-115. Week 10's edition of Thursday Night Football. A pair of last-place teams, Bears and Panthers, at Soldier Field tonight. College hoops. Loyola lost to number 9 Florida Atlantic 75-62. The news, a service of Townstone Financial. Should you buy a new home, can you afford it? Can you pay off those credit cards using your home? Townstone.com has the answers at 312-896-2110. Illinois Mortgage Licensee 6629. NMLS 136639. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Breakthrough Ideas, Linex of Roselle, and by the law offices of Stephen Leahy.
Check out the America's Talking Podcast, a show featuring thoughtful conversations with host Austin Berg and guests that range from opioid epidemic expert Dr. Limpke.
What are the best predictors of a person's ability or likelihood of success in overcoming an addiction?
Really interesting question. I mean, it's a combination of the biopsychosocial aspects that make up the disease of addiction in the first place. Biology speaks to the sort of inborn or innate vulnerability to addiction that person has in their DNA. What's their genetic load?
To stand-up comedian Mark Normand.
For me, it was a couple things. I was finally getting some heat. I opened for Seinfeld. I did Joe Rogan. I had a Tonight Show come out. I was like cooking. And then the COVID hit. I was selling tickets for the first time in my life.
Listen to the America's Talking Podcast at americastalking.com or wherever you get your podcast.
I'm Scott, the owner of Solid Fire Pits. When I began welding my custom-made fire pits for friends and family, I shared them on TikTok because I was just so proud of them. Check it out. That's beautiful. I posted every new fire pit design and more people kept ordering, from 26 states and counting. Then on my birthday, I had my best sales ever. Now how can the universe beat that?
Solid Fire Pits is just one of the 5 million U.S. businesses that rely on TikTok every day. TikTok sparks business.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices of America's greatest heroes. Heroes like Bristol, Connecticut Police Sergeant Dustin DeMonte. He sustained fatal gunshot wounds after responding to a domestic violence incident, leaving behind his expectant wife and 2 children. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the DeMonte family home, lifting a financial burden. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Eating Balance of Nature fruits and veggies is not replacing the fruits and vegetables in your diet. It is fruits and vegetables in your diet. Ask yourself, how many servings of fruits and vegetables have I eaten today? Have you eaten 1, 2, 3, and from how many varieties? Most people are less than 3. Our body is an amazing chemical laboratory, and when you give it the right chemistry, it functions the best. Balance of Nature is 31 different fruits and vegetables prepared in a way to give you the ultimate whole fruit and vegetable chemistry. Let Balance of Nature help you supplement your fruit and vegetable intake for a lot less money and a lot less work and a much higher quality of life.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
You're smart, you're busy, and don't have time to waste on the mainstream media cycle. Salem News Channel breaks that cycle. Topics that matter from hosts worth watching. Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Open debate and free speech you won't find anywhere else. Salem News Channel, not like the other guys. Watch anytime on any screen, free 24/7. Find everything you need to know at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Edens, 40 minutes. Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Kennedy already at 90 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike inbound. It's an hour 5, 390 to the old post office. Stevenson 45 in from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan 37 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays this morning on DuSable Lakeshore Drive. An accident partly blocking the entrance ramp southbound from Montrose coming up the works this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Sun, patchy clouds, and breezy. High today at 56. Clear tonight and chilly, low 39. Sunny day tomorrow, the high at 49. For tomorrow, light clear to partly cloudy, low 34. And then clouds and sun on Saturday, the high Saturday afternoon reaching 50. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
42 at O'Hare. Next news at 7:30. Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Wealth Management Group, hosted by Craig and Leslie Bolano Sunday mornings at 10. Learn more at investwithwmg.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Maybe it's wrong, but anytime I think of a U.S. Senator from Alabama, I can't help but think of Howell Heflin because of the late, great Chris Farley's indelible impersonation of Howell Heflin. Remember when Farley played Howell Heflin and when they did the SNL spoofs on the Clarence Thomas confirmation hearings?
That seems like forever ago, yes.
I mean, I know. I'm stuck in time, but it's just so good. But we have to talk about serious things. Katie Britt is much more appealing than Howell Heflin. That's a low bar. She's the youngest Republican woman ever elected to the United States Senate. I won't ask her age because that's impolite.
Yes, Dan,
she's got a new book, but before we get to that, here is Senator Britt just a few weeks back after having visited the border, which of course was a topic of conversation at last night's GOP presidential debate.
We walked through and we got to hear women tell us their story, and their stories are brutalizing. And to Senator Cruz's point, if you're not telling it, that's on you. Because when a woman sits there and she tells you not just about being raped, but how many times a day she's raped, when she tells you about having to lay in that bed while they come in and out and in and out, it's disgusting and it's despicable. Folks, you look at the number of people that have died at the border because Joe Biden has made it more and more enticing to come here. Make no mistake, this is a result of failed policies. We could fix this. We can't throw money at this and fix it. We have to actually change the policies. I looked in the eyes of CBP agents who said we're exhausted. We're not only having to be paper pushers, we're also trying to do what we did, what we took an oath of office to do, and that is protect this border. But when they tell you about finding small children who have drowned in that river or pulling a lifeless body of a woman who is pregnant with twins, it changes the way you think about what's happening. Drug cartels, guys, they have their tentacles all over this country. We need you to start telling that story. To Senator Cruz's point, they will tell you exactly how much they paid to get here. Then they'll tell you where they're going, what their job's going to be, and how much more they owe. Got it? And guess what? Just the other day in Alabama, a gentleman told me, if you will come back here with me in this neighborhood right behind you, you will see migrants who are here illegally, and they will tell you about the drug cartels coming around every other week to collect. Guys, that's not the American dream. That's an American nightmare.
Oh, she's good.
Senator Katie Britt, a Republican from Alabama, her new book, God Calls Us to Do Hard Things, Lessons from the Alabama Wiregrass. Senator Britt, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. I really appreciate y'all having me on. I appreciate getting to be with y'all and in front of your audience.
And I love your state. I was in Alabama last week, University of Alabama. They played Georgia Tech in volleyball. So you've got a beautiful state there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and it's a beautiful campus. My daughter is a volleyball player, so that's awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
Oh no, this is going to go off the rails now. You two are just going to talk about volleyball. We have to talk about.
I won't ask position.
We have to talk about additionally important things like the border too. I mean, that was certainly a topic that was tackled yesterday at the Republican presidential debate, and you sort of had the competing Dirty Harry rhetoric from Ramaswamy and DeSantis and others. But it seems to me there's general Republican consensus on this, to the point that you were making when you were admonishing the press corps, and the point that Tom Homan always makes, the former acting director of ICE, that secure borders save lives. Remain in Mexico, the requisite security to prevent the incursion, to disincentivize more migrants from moving towards our southern border. It seems like the Republican Party is generally on the same page on this. So what can be done when you only control 1/3 of the government?
Look, we've got to stand up, and I love that you mentioned Tom because, I mean, he is a true leader on this, and we've got to talk about this in a way that people can hear us, and we've got to really lead in a way they can follow because the country's counting on it. First, we've got to work to secure the border. That said it in there, but obviously there are policy changes that go along with that. You know, we need to change the asylum standard. There are loopholes that this administration is utilizing that we need to close. We need to put back in the Remain in Mexico policy. We need to institute a safe third country policy. So there are a number, when we look at the parole system, that it is absolutely broken. That needs to be adjusted. When you look at funding mechanisms, which we're going to have to, kind of coalesce as Republicans on the Senate side and really speak with one voice in order to make any changes. And to me, look, obviously we're not going to get everything we want in this, right this second when we're not in charge. But it shouldn't be for a lack of trying. We should be good. We should be moving towards everything we want. When you look at funding portions, making sure that we actually finish building the wall. We need both physical barriers, technological barriers. We need more money for ICE officers. If you look at it, we have 6,000 ICE officers in the interior. They have about 6.5 million they're tracking. On the non-detained docket, there have been 1 million people, over 1 million people that have orders to be deported. That's where we need to be spending money. We need to get them out. I mean, we need more detention beds. There are a number of things that we need to be doing. Look, we know what works. We saw it in the last administration. We've got to go back to that because the safety and security of our nation is hanging in the balance.
But sticking with Tom Homan for a moment, I mean, he doesn't think it's a resource issue, it's a policy issue, which I know you've sort of articulated as well. I mean, especially if you're just, as DeSantis said last night, if you're just going to hire more ICE agents to process asylum applications, then what are you really doing? It seems, but Homan's call is shut everything down. There's no funding for anything. The temporary layoff of a quarter of the federal workforce too, what we call a government shutdown, whatever it takes to zero in on this and get the policy changes that are required to secure the border. I mean, it doesn't seem like congressional Republicans are willing to die on that hill at this point.
I have to say there is a lot of effort and momentum within the Republican conference. So obviously only time will tell where we're able to get that. But I mean, people are seeing it. And to be truthful with you, the Democrats have got to wake up. I mean, you look at the poll numbers and only 23% of America agrees with how Joe Biden is handling the border. So I think we have the leverage, and now it's, do we have the will to use it? And I am certainly hopeful that we do. I will be pushing us to do that because we cannot sustain another, year and a couple of months under these failed policies. So I think we'll push back. We'll push back hard. And to the point about there's a difference. ICE officers versus what you see from the administration. You're correct. They want more clerical people in different spaces. What we need are actual officers that can hunt down fugitives, hunt down criminal aliens, that can actually deport it. Right now, the numbers are they would have to deport Each ICE agent would have to find about 167 people a year that have already been said that they have to leave this nation in order for us to get all 1 million out in a year. And I've been told yesterday that it's actually more than 1 million people that have been set to be removed. But this administration, we're at in 2022, FY 2022, they were like a 32-1 migrants illegally entering the nation versus how many people they were deporting. And obviously a stark difference in what we saw under Trump. So we got to continue to fight back. And certainly Tom's an expert on this. And so I always appreciate knowing where he is and what his voice is, because he knows what he's talking about.
It would be nice if ICE agents can arrest those cartel members that you're talking about that come back to collect every week, you said?
Absolutely. Yes. And that's what people are, you hear Democrats talk about how that their policies are humane. Their policies are anything but that. I mean, there are women that are being victims of traffic under the drug cartels. You've got them utilizing TikTok. These men, children, everyone having to pay to get here, and then that's what people don't get. Once they get here, they are still under the thumb of the cartel. The cartels have their tentacles all across this country. So these quote unquote migrants are not winning. I can assure you that. Clearly, Americans are not winning. The only people winning under Joe Biden's failed policies are drug cartels. He has made them billions of dollars, and he has allowed them to make these migrants indentured servants in so many ways, and he's put American safety at risk. You look at the fentanyl, you look at that's the leading cause of death in this country between the ages of 18 and 45. We know exactly what's happening. It's coming from China. It's making its way to Mexico. It's coming across our border, and it's literally killing over 300 people a day, and that's in addition to all of the other things that we have to deal with under this crisis.
So what was your handle on the election results from Tuesday night, the disappointing election results, including in Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell's home state, and somebody that he's had a longstanding relationship with, a really attractive candidate in Daniel Cameron, the Attorney General? They're losing in a state that Trump won by 26 points, and all the discussion about where the GOP needs to be on abortion, and that was part of the debate last night as well. What's your analysis?
Yeah, so we've got to do a better job of messaging. We are right on the policies. I mean, you look at where the nation is. We are more vulnerable and weaker at the border, as we just discussed. We clearly are abroad and here at home. And so I know that if you look back under President Trump, obviously we had a secure border. We had a commander-in-chief that understood peace through strength, and we actually garnered respect from both our allies and our adversaries. And then you look at home, your 401ks were higher. You look at the gas pump, and you're not paying as much to fill up your car. And people believe they had an opportunity at the American dream. We've got to go out and communicate our message, remind people that our policies work, remind them that they will shift from the place that we are here. And then we've got to lead in a way that other people can follow. And when it comes to issues of life, we have got to hit those head on. And I know that there's talk about whether or not candidates responded in the same amount of time and how we do that. And so I think let's take a step back. Let's look at the polls. Let's look at the crosstabs, and let's figure out a better way to communicate our message, because ultimately I do believe that we're right on policy. We've just got to do a better job of getting that to the people.
We've got to do the hard things, which is what God calls us to do, and it's also the name of your book. What was the impetus for God Calls Us to Do Hard Things?
So, when I got in this race, and you mentioned it earlier, the youngest Republican female ever elected to the U.S. Senate, a lot of people thought that this wasn't possible. I was, at the time, a 39-year-old unknown female, and the gentleman who was already in the race was polling at 65%. He was a sitting congressman, and he had at the time the former president's endorsement. And then there was me, and I was polling at 2. We knew that we would have to step down from our jobs, both my husband and I. We knew that people said there was no way in the world that this could happen in the state of Alabama. And we were praying about it, and my son asked to speak with me privately. He sat me down first and gave me a list of things of why I should do it. And so part of tugging on my heartstrings was what it would mean for my children. And so for him to do that was big. But then I kept thinking, well, my daughter. And then she said, Mom, you know what, you've got to do this. I said, I've got to do what? She said, you've got to run for the United States Senate. And I said, sweetheart, I really appreciate that you think your mama can run for the United States Senate, but I don't think you realize what a hard thing it is. And without telling her all of those things that I just told you, I just said, baby, it's a really hard thing. And she looked right back at me and without hesitation said, well, Mama, doesn't God call you to do hard things? Oh. And that was the moment where I thought, you know what, I know God is not guaranteeing us any result, but he is telling us that we need to step into the arena. And so this book is about a lot of the hard things in life. You know, I think you see people's peaks in life, and if you don't see them, then you can find them on their Instagram feed. But it is people's valleys where God really, really carves you up and prepares you for his purpose. And so I talk a lot about my failures. I talk about lessons learned. And the thought is that the next generation, we've got to equip them with the fundamental values of this country, that faith, family, and freedom are the most important things. We've got to remind them who they are and whose they are. We've got to encourage them and people, whether it's the young or the young at heart, that want to, spark a new lease on life, to step into the arena, because I believe every generation is called to do hard things. If you look at what happened on D-Day, and you look at, the cliffs that those men climbed up and stared in the face of the unthinkable. You look at what Reagan did. You look at 9/11 and our just incredible, men and women, first responders that didn't rush away but rushed to the disaster. And I think we are seeing right now what our generation is called to do. And we have some fundamental cracks in the foundation of this country, and we are going to have to work diligently to fill them. So it encourages people to follow God's purpose. It talks about lessons in life, and hopefully reminds this nation who we are and what we're about, and that God calls us to do hard things.
Senator Britt, I mean, you've got a fascinating story. You grew up working in your parents' hardware store, and how did you go when you were polling at a 2 to pull off and beat your opponent? What was the messaging that you got out that was successful that maybe the Republican Party as a whole can do?
Yeah, so obviously it goes back to hard work, which is one of the things that we talk about in the book. We've moved into this place where the nation, the government wants you to just keep your hand out and let them give you more instead of keeping your head down and working hard to achieve. And we went grassroots. We went all over the state each and every day. And I think it mattered. And we took a message of that the Republican Party is the party of parents. And we are the party of hard-working Americans. And just that the government in general, people are ready for new blood. They're ready for fresh blood. People want us to fight for these foundational freedoms that I believe the nation gives us. They want us to fight for our values, and they want us to fight for our people. And so connecting with people, listening to them, and demanding that we're part of the solution, I think was something that spoke to people all across the state. And I believe Alabama is a great state with great people, and we have a great story to tell. And so making sure that we're contributing to the greater good of the nation is also critically important.
She is Katie Britt, Republican Senator from the great state of Alabama. Her new book, God Calls Us to Do Hard Things, Lessons from the Alabama Wiregrass. Senator Britt, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with the book.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate being on.
All right, thank you, and God bless. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
pushed it down the stairs and then it tumbled off their truck. But when it fell out in the street, I knew I was out of luck. I got the crash, bang, boom. Should have had it in the Staircase Blues. Yeah. If you don't want to lose it, put yours in the Staircase too.
Yes, Staircase has designed custom reusable shipping cases for everything from irreplaceable trophies to mission-critical scientific equipment. Cases that can take the crash, bang, boom waiting for it when it leaves your dock. Let us build you a case specially designed to protect your stuff. Go to starcase.com or call 800-822-STAR. That's 800-822-7827.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is Seth Leibson of AM960ThePatriot.com for Town Hall. We are seeing today the fairly prevalent censoring of conservative political speech on college campuses. And yet, when it comes to the war in Israel and Gaza, we are also seeing university officials making free speech defenses of bloodthirsty marches on behalf of genocide. Now, Americans might disagree on any number of public and foreign policy issues, but we must recognize these distinctions. They are differences of kind, not degrees of speech. Our First Amendment was meant to protect argument and debate in pursuing the preservation of our blessings of liberty and Republican form of government as the Constitution guarantees. It was never meant as a suicide pact, putting equal value on every kind of speech conceivable, from communism to Nazism to jihadism. Not understanding this has led us to the modern campus, where debates about men being allowed to use women's locker rooms are intolerable, and then marches including incantations to genocide all of a sudden are considered sacred. We are dreadfully and dangerously confused. I'm Seth Leibson.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Ukraine, Israel, our southern border, national security discussion with Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation, 737.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
42 degrees this morning. We have mostly sunny skies. GOP presidential primary candidates gathered on the same stage for the third time. Fox's Madison Allworth has more on last night's debate.
We heard the candidates face off on the economy, on foreign diplomacy, on energy. But based off of this week's local and state elections, we see that voters, they're very concerned about social issues and they're voting on them. And when they do, the Democrats win. So last night we had the chance to hear from the Republican candidates on the issue of things like abortion. That is an issue that continues to drive voters to the polls. Each candidate sharing their stance, hoping to be the one to win on the issue. Obviously, it is an issue that's going to continue to come up, among other things. But last night, the focus really hard on foreign diplomacy at the beginning. That took up a lot of airtime, and abortion ending out the night. I think they did that because of the elections on Tuesday.
Former President Donald Trump again skipped the debate, instead putting on a rally in South Florida. Israel troops and Hamas militant terrorists battled through bombed-out buildings in Gaza City today. Meantime, some 80 countries and organizations are meeting in Paris, trying to coordinate humanitarian aid. It looks like movie and TV actors will be going back to work after nearly 4 months on the picket lines. SAG-AFTRA and the Alliance of Motion Picture and TV Producers have tentatively agreed to a new deal. Tracy Chapman has become the first black woman to win an award from the Country Music Association. Her 1988 classic Fast Car was recorded this year by country musician Luke Combs and hit #1 in both the country and top 40 charts. Last night at the CMAs, Fast Car was named Song of the Year. A suspect and victim were both wounded in a West Loop shootout following a crash late Wednesday night. Police say a 29-year-old man was involved in that crash. He was standing outside of his vehicle when another dark-colored car pulled up. 3 armed suspects then jumped out. The victim, who has a concealed carry license, got into a shootout with the suspects. Police say the victim was hit 3 times. One of the suspects later showed up at an area hospital and was placed into custody. The Bulls lost to the Suns in overtime, 116-115 last night. Week 10 of the NFL gets underway with Thursday night football. Bears and Carolina Panthers, and again Tyson Bagent steps in for the injured Justin Fields at quarterback. College hoops last night, Loyola lost to number 9 Florida Atlantic 75-62. The news service of Townstone Financial. Can you afford a home? Townstone has a new 1% down payment program. Restrictions do apply, so go to townstone.com for details or call 312-896-2110. Illinois mortgage licensee 6629 NMLS 136639. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
It happens every year. Winter. Delivering and receiving supplies and getting people where they need to go can be impossible. Keeping your business doors and gates working properly to keep out the extreme weather is a major concern. Your business can't afford a loss of income or productivity. Think ahead this winter and call Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. for your commercial door maintenance and security tune-up now. You can't always plan when your doors break down, and it always seems to come at the least convenient time. Industrial Door Company will ensure your doors, grills, gates, and dock equipment are working to specification and give you advice on how to increase the life of your doors. Go online to see a range of products and services at industrialdoor.com. Call anytime, 847-258-5620. Their team will be there before the extreme cold weather causes financial losses for your company and assist in your time of need. Since 1982, the Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. takes care of your doors so you can take care of business.
There's nothing worse than hearing about people living in pain. So I'd like to tell you about Keith from Washington and his Relief Factor story. After years of activity, from college football to running a martial arts studio, at age 51, Keith's body felt like it was wearing out. So he gave Relief Factor a try. Keith says he now has, quote, little to no pain in my knees and highly reduced neck pain. Feeling so much better, he pursued a second-degree black belt. I can testify to everything except the black belt part, how much it has helped me. Relief Factor. If you're living with aches and pain, see how Relief Factor, a daily drug-free supplement, could help you feel and live better every day. To get started, try the Relief Factor 3-week quick start kit. It's only $19.95. Comes with a feel better or your money back guarantee. Visit relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. That's 800-4-RELIEF.
I'm Scott, the owner of Solid Fire Pits. When I began welding my custom-made fire pits for friends and family, I shared them on TikTok because I was just so proud of them. Check it out. That's beautiful. I posted every new fire pit design, and more people kept ordering, from 26 states and counting. Then on my birthday, I had my best sales ever. Now how can the universe beat that?
Solid Fire Pits is just one of the 5 million U.S. businesses that rely on TikTok every day. TikTok sparks business. Walters Kluwer United States Incorporated seeks Software Quality Assurance Analyst 2 in Riverwoods, Illinois, to participate in requirements and design review and hands-on system and integration testing in SAP modules, including SD, MM, FICO, and BI or BW. Telecommuting permitted. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com. Reference number 50919. Again, Walters Kluwer United States Incorporated seeks Software Quality Assurance Analyst 2 in Riverwoods, Illinois. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com. Reference number 50919. Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
7:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Eden's at 40 minutes. Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Kennedy right now is at about an hour and 40 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now showing up at an hour 17 from 390 into the old post office. Dan Ryan, 37 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Semi-fire Tri-State Tollway northbound between 111th and 95th, again on the northbound side of 294. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny with highs in the mid-50s today. Partly cloudy, lows in the upper 30s. Overnight, currently 41 officially at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business powered by Mirabali Insurance. Sunday evenings at 6.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. America First with Sebastian Gorka, weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. A lot of discussion in last night's Republican presidential debate about Israel. Earlier in the week, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did an interview with ABC News' David Muir, where he responded to the calls for ceasefire and humanitarian pauses, sort of euphemistic language for a ceasefire, the weaselly phrases used by an administration. I'm talking about the Biden administration that's trying to middle the issue to keep warring coalition partners in check. Here's what Bibi said.
The president himself has said that a ceasefire would be a surrender to Hamas. It would be a victory for Hamas, and you would no more have it than you would have a ceasefire after the Al-Qaeda bombings of the World Trade Center. Well, there will be no ceasefire, general ceasefire in Gaza without the release of our hostages. As far as tactical little pauses, an hour here, an hour there, we've had them before. I suppose we'll check the circumstances in order to enable goods, humanitarian goods to come in, or our hostages, individual hostages to leave. But I don't think there's going to be a general ceasefire. It's not that I don't think. I think it will hamper the war effort. It'll hamper our effort to get our hostages out, because the only thing that works on these criminals in Hamas is the military pressure that we're exerting.
And he also talked a bit about what happens after, who governs Gaza. And here there is real daylight between what Bibi said and what Biden is saying.
Those who don't want to continue the way of Hamas, it certainly is not, I think Israel will, for an indefinite period, will have the overall security responsibility, because we've seen what happens when we don't have it. When we don't have that security responsibility, what we have is the eruption of Hamas terror on a scale that we couldn't imagine.
Do you have a warning to Iran, to Hezbollah?
Yeah. For more on this, pleased to be joined by Stephen Bucci, served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. He's a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me back on the show.
So, and do you have any issues with what Netanyahu said? Because on that last piece in particular, there is opposition, at least stated right now, stated opposition to the idea that Israel would have operational security control over Gaza for an indeterminate period of time until something less lethal could be constructed in terms of governance.
Well, I think Netanyahu is speaking reality, and the Biden administration and lots of other commentators are speaking la-la land. They want to have the UN or some other peacekeeping force go in there and take over. But I got to tell you, I don't think anybody's going to volunteer to do that. It would be extremely difficult, and any remnants of Hamas that are not eliminated in the Israeli offensive that's now ongoing will come back and start to do more stuff. So I think everybody around the world would like to see the Israeli army not be in there, but I'm sorry, it's the only way they're going to solve this problem. It's not going to go away. We can wish it all we want, but Hamas is not cooperating. Hamas, as leaders, have said, we're happy about what we did on October 7th. We're proud of it, and we're going to keep doing it as long as we can. When one side doesn't want to negotiate, it's kind of tough to negotiate.
Well, we're learning this morning from CBS News, Hamas is now proposing a 2-day ceasefire. In exchange, they'll hand over 6 hostages, many that are American, including Hirsch Goldberg. And here's his mom. I wanted you to hear her. She spoke last night in Jerusalem.
We cannot forget there are 240 people buried, but very much alive under Gaza. The hostages have been underground in Gaza for 32 days.
You could just hear the pain in her voice. Do you think that that they're going to do this ceasefire to release the 6 American hostages?
If they can get them out, I think they would do not a ceasefire, but a tactical pause. I doubt it would be 2 days. I don't think the Israelis are going to take 2 days off to get back 6 people, even if they're Americans. I think this is Hamas realizing the noose is tightening, and now they're going to have to try and wiggle and stay on the game board. But I don't think the Israelis are going to buy that. Now, if they said, in 2 days we'll let go half of the hostages, 50, 60 people, that might be worth 2 days, even 3 or 4. But 2 days to get 6 people out when they still have, over 100 some people to deal with, no, I don't think Israel's going to buy it. And Biden can stomp his feet, and the protesters around the world can scream. But right now, Netanyahu is operating based on the safety and security of his nation and his people, and that's the only thing that he should be thinking about.
I'm not saying that he has any other choice, as you sort of indicated, but there is this concern, strategic concern, from pro-Israeli experts, like former CIA official Nicholas Cass is one, who just says, look, but this is complicated. This is multi-dimensional chess. And so, the more that, with the help of Western media, the talk is of the civilian body count among Palestinians, and the more something like something that could happen with the busting up of this tunnel infrastructure that Hamas has. I think some 130 tunnels have been essentially blown up at this point. At least that's the reporting. But if hostages were to be killed in the effort to dismantle the tunnel system, that Israel starts to lose some of the support or middled support that it gets from Arab countries that they had over the last several years developed a rapprochement, and it provides opportunities for Russia and China to come in as the sympathetic ear, and you start to see like a larger destabilization of the region to the benefit of America's overarching enemies like Russia and China?
Well, I would have a little disagreement with that analysis.
Okay.
Frankly, that the Arab world is either so tired of the Palestinians that they're just sitting on the sidelines and would, truth be told, would love Israel just to eliminate Hamas completely, and then they'd wring their hands for a while, and then they'd go back to dealing with the Israelis. The other parts of the Muslim world right now, Turkey, obviously Iran and their allies, it doesn't matter what Israel does. Israel is still going to be the enemy. So we should not fool ourselves to think that if Israel negotiates with these characters who've done this horrific act and are still doing it now to their own people, that somehow, we're going to achieve a negotiated peace. I just say again, you can't negotiate with people who are not going to negotiate. The West has this idea that, well, that's not what Hamas really means. Certainly, if we, give them something, they'll cooperate with us, and that's delusional. These people are fanatics, and they are not going to negotiate. They will try and cut a deal, but only to their own advantage, not to help their own people or to achieve some ethereal peace that might be out there somewhere.
Yeah, but they're winning the PR war. I mean, it's so strange. All these pro-Palestinian, uprisings or protests that are having at college campuses. I mean, was this part of Hamas's strategy?
I don't know if it was part of Hamas's strategy. It was clearly in the strategy of Hamas supporters around the world, the Muslim Brotherhood and their ilk, the Iranians,
the Ivy League.
Yeah, and the kind of liberals who just hate Israel anyway. And you're right. In a sense, they are winning the PR war mostly because the mainstream press are playing right into it. And the problem is, how do you not lose the PR war? I mean, Israel could stop shooting right now, pull out, and say they were sorry, and they're not going to win the PR war. So why bother? Just keep doing what you're doing. It's like the UN. I mean, Israel gets condemned in the UN all the time, and Israel sits there and rolls their eyes and say, "Yeah, got it. We understand. We're not letting our people die. I just think we should."
John Kirby, National Security Council spokesman, would not call it a stalemate in Ukraine. He'll let the Ukrainians do that if they want to, but he eventually said it was when he said that Ukrainians haven't made as much progress with the counteroffensive as they hoped. Yeah, we've got that. We talked to Bradley Bowman last week from the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, and he argued that this sort of open-ended support of Ukraine is worth it. It is necessary. It is an opportunity for America with respect to dealing these body blows to to Putin's military, and got into the geopolitical benefits that you know well, and you've heard the arguments. And he said, look, let's be honest, it's probably 5 to 10 years, but the amount of spend in the context of our overall spend, it is absolutely worth it. And he's not so worried about an accounting. I mean, he's not saying we should be profligate with our money, but he's not so worried about an accounting, which is sort of fairy tale stuff anyway, of how the money is spent by Zelensky and company. But hey, if we're in for 5 or 10 years, then it's worth it. And at least he's somebody saying, I'm in for the long haul, and we better be prepared to be in for the long haul. How do you react to that?
Well, one part of me, wants to say, well, thank you for at least being honest about what you believe. I'm not sure it's sustainable for 5 or 10 years. I mean, that's the American people do have a limit as to what they're going to do, and we don't do well with long-term commitments like that, particularly when they're sort of over the top price-wise. I do agree that we should be supporting Ukraine right now, not necessarily because we want to cause body blows to Russia, though that'd be fine if it happened, but because we can't let Russia win, because that would fundamentally shift the entire international relations, world rules that then China and others would use as a precedent to take other action. So the cost down the road would be horrendous and frankly worse than what's costing now.
Well, but reconcile that for me, because it can't be open-ended. We need to put them on some timeline, but we can't put them on an artificial timeline. So how do we make an assessment? What metrics are we looking for to say 6 months, a year from now, we can't do this anymore? If at the same time that would mean that Russia rolls over the Ukrainians and into Kyiv, how do we make the call of when?
Well, I don't think we can, because we don't know exactly what when is. I think, we can talk with the Ukrainians, not publicly, but, on the sly and say, look, you got to give us a plan. Show us what you think you can do and when you can do it. I think we do need to have an accounting. That's just our system. It's really nice to say, well, who cares how much we spend? But, we don't have unlimited assets. So we do have to watch that. We do have to make sure it's not wasted, that they are using every bit of it effectively. But, we don't have to say, well, you got 6 months or we're out of here. I think there's room in between we'll be there for 10 years and you got 6 months to finish the job. And we have to find that space and then give them the equipment to accomplish it in whatever we together agree is a legitimate time period. And that's not a precise science, to be honest with you.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
This kind of war is expensive. We're used to counterinsurgency, which can be expensive in human costs. This is way more expensive in logistical costs and in the human costs. But again, this is an ally, like with Israel, that is willing to fight itself. They're not asking us to go in and fight for them. They just need logistical help. That's different than what we've done in the past, where we had to put not just some treasure, but a lot of blood along with it into the fight. We're not at that point in either of these conflicts.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, a visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Steve Bucci, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
What if you could build a 6-figure retirement income with almost half the money saved? You heard that right. Get a discount on your retirement, creating a 6-figure income with 40% less than traditional 401ks and mutual funds. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, best-selling author and executive producer of a new Hollywood documentary called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. In this film, economists and Nobel Prize-winning PhDs share a strange concept I call the retirement discount. It gives you more retirement income with the same dollar saved, and your money is never at risk if the market crashes. That's right. If the market crashes 30%, you lose nothing. Even people who are on track have shifted money to this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you are over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement with less money, call to get a free copy of this brand new movie, 1-800-578-3535. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you get it completely free, plus 2 hours of bonus behind-the-scenes footage. No credit card required. Call right now. 1-800-578-3535. That's 1-800-578-3535. Again, 1-800-578-3535.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you. You've watched the news. Rising crime has been affecting our everyday lives in Illinois more and more these days. Blue Star Security can protect you, your business, or your place of worship. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 900 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Jeffrey Salvetti, Vice President of Blue Star Security and a 15-year law enforcement veteran. The Blue Star team is made up of over 900 state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals. We serve businesses and private organizations with supply chain and special event security, and also protect our loved ones at places of worship and schools all across the Chicagoland area. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. That's BlueStarSecurityLLC.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk POTUS debate with Scott McKay from the Hayride, 808.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
A suspect and victim both wounded in a West Loop shooting following a crash Wednesday night. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
There's no ceasing to the firing. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and Israel says there won't be.
They were able to eliminate the head of Hamas's anti-tank missile array. They also targeted using the Navy a number of different positions that they say were threatening Israeli forces inside the Strip.
Fox's Trey Yanks near the border with Gaza. There are reports of negotiations for a 3-day pause in exchange for Hamas releasing some hostages. Getting more aid to Gaza is the topic at a big international gathering in Paris.
French President Emmanuel Macron opened the meeting, saying civilians in Gaza are suffering and a humanitarian pause is needed very quickly. The enclave needs food, water, medicines, and fuel.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. The U.S. retaliated again to recent attacks on American bases in Iraq and Syria, bombing a weapons warehouse in Syria used by Iran-backed militants. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who's running for president, just told Fox.
Joe Biden is basically allowing the Iranians to attack our troops, and his responses are underwhelming.
The day after he and 4 other candidates in a debate on NBC supported Israel, Tim Scott said we must also
stop China from buying farmland near our bases.
Chris Christie focused on another Chinese-based threat.
TikTok is not only spyware, it is polluting the minds of American young people.
Vivek Ramaswamy defended using TikTok, taking aim at Nikki Haley.
In the last debate, she made fun of me for actually joining TikTok while her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time. So you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my daughter out of your voice.
You have her supporters propping her up. That's fine. Here's the truth.
You're just
the easy answer.
The Republican frontrunner, a no-show again, and said former President Trump held a rally near the Miami site, calling the debate unwatchable.
Somebody said, one of the dumber ones, he doesn't have the courage to stand up. Well, listen, I'm standing in front of tens of thousands of people.
America's listening to Fox News.
41 degrees, brilliant sunshine at 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. A suspect and victim both wounded in a West Loop shootout following a crash Wednesday night. Police say a 29-year-old man was involved in a car crash. He was standing outside of his car when another vehicle pulled alongside. 3 armed suspects then jumped out. The victim, who has a concealed carry license, got into a shootout with the suspects. The victim was struck 3 times. One of these suspects was also hit and later showed up in an area hospital and was placed in custody. Charges have been filed against 2 people accused of killing a woman during an attempted robbery in the south suburbs over the weekend. According to Worth police, a 22-year-old Tamara Johnson and a 23-year-old Jason Johnson have both been charged with first-degree murder for their alleged role in the shooting death of Joni Angel Klein. A 16-year-old boy is hospitalized after a shooting in the Garfield Park neighborhood. Chicago police say officers were sent out to the 4300 block of West Adams, where a 16-year-old male victim was on the street, shot in the groin by an unknown offender. Chicago sports found the Bulls with another narrow loss, 116-115 in overtime to the Phoenix Suns. Thursday night football, pair of last-place teams. Bears hosting Carolina at Soldier Field. College hoops last night, Loyola lost to number 9 Florida Atlantic, 75-62. The news is a service of the Fireplace and Chimney Authority, Chicagoland's largest and most respected fireplace and chimney company. Visit their showrooms in Lisle or Elmhurst or online at fireplaceandchimneyauthority.com. AM 560 news time is 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
WeWork investor SoftBank reports a $6.2 billion loss after the office-sharing startup filed for Chapter 11 protection in the U.S. because of weakness in the office market. And the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau says Citigroup intentionally discriminated against Armenian Americans when they applied for credit cards. Citi is a major issuer of store credit cards, including retail cards for Home Depot, Best Buy, and other chains. The Bureau said some bank employees argued internally that Armenian Americans are more likely to commit fraud and referred to applicants as bad guys or as affiliated with organized crime. Citi is being punished for the alleged discrimination. The bank's been ordered to pay $25.9 million in fines. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Lil's Dietary Shop, Blue Star Security, and by Hope Wins 7.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-299-7878. That's 800-299-7878. 800-299-7878.
Thanksgiving is right around the corner, a true feast for the senses. And this year, there's even more to be thankful for. This year, I discovered something that's been a game changer for my health. 120 Life Juice Drink. But it's not just their amazing juice that keeps my blood pressure in check. Now they offer a new powdered version of 120 Life, making it easier than ever to take control of my health on the go and while I'm traveling. It's the same great taste, the same natural ingredients, the same heart-healthy benefits as the juice, but now in a convenient powdered form. This Thanksgiving, amidst the laughter, the joy, and the chaos, I'm grateful for my health and for discovering 120 Life, the natural solution for high blood pressure. I want you to try it. Order a 2-week trial pack today, and if it's not for you, you get your money back, and that's guaranteed. Order now, the juice drink or the powdered mix. Visit 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Coupon code LIBERTY saves you 15%. Order now. You'll be thankful you did. Here's to a healthy, happy holiday season from my friends at 120 Life.
I'm Scott, the owner of Solid Fire Pits. When I began welding my custom-made fire pits for friends and family, I shared them on TikTok because I was just so proud of them.
Check it out. That's beautiful.
I posted every new fire pit design and more people kept ordering, from 26 states and counting. Then on my birthday, I had my best sales ever. Now how can the universe beat that?
Solid Fire Pits is just one of the 5 million U.S. businesses that rely on TikTok every day. TikTok sparks business.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices of America's greatest heroes. Heroes like Bristol, Connecticut Police Sergeant Dustin DeMonte. He sustained fatal gunshot wounds after responding to a domestic violence incident, leaving behind his expectant wife and 2 children. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the DeMonte family home, lifting a financial burden. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
8:09. Let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg traffic center. And the Edens is the hotspot. 44 minutes, Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Kennedy Express lane's a mess right now. And your travel time coming inbound is all approaching 2 hours from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now at an hour 12, 390 to the old post office. Stevenson, a manageable 70 minutes right now, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. While DuSable Lakeshore Drive is stop-and-go traffic northbound between the Stevenson and Monroe. It's Tri-State jamming up this morning, southbound between Lawrence and the Bensonville Bridge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Now we get the latest from Steve Williams.
Clouds and a couple of showers late today. Temperatures varying sharply across the area from north to south. High 58. A thundershower early this evening. Otherwise cloudy tonight, low 43. Partly sunny, breezy day tomorrow, the high 54. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Crystal clear, 41 right now. Your next news at 8:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We played at the outset, but it bears a replay. The way that the Republican presidential debate in Miami began last night.
Oh, yeah. People are begging to hear it again. They keep texting our text line, which is great.
With Vivek Ramaswamy going right at Kristen Welker and the woman who put her on stage.
Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer to the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, I mean, we've got Kristen Welker here. You think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, I mean, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Roberts.
This is how we get our country back. We need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Mr. Ramaswamy,
and they're going to rig this election.
Your time is up.
Accountability.
Let me turn to
That's
Governor Christie. Why?
Yeah. I mean, I thought Kristen and so on and so forth. Go. That was the key takeaway of the debate. And I know there are skeptics of Ramaswamy, and I have said before, I think there's a little Harold Hill quality to him. But it was something that needed to be said publicly, and to Kristen Welker's face, her being a proxy for the entire D.C. press corps. And Ramaswamy gets credit for being the one who was willing to do it. Ron DeSantis, at the outset, tried to have a moment, too. His target was Trump, not Kristen Welker. Here's his effort.
Where we are now, it's a lot different than we were in 2016. And Donald Trump's a lot different guy than he was in 2016. He owes it to you to be on this stage and explain why he should get another chance. He should explain why he didn't have Mexico pay for the border wall. He should explain why he racked up so much debt. He should explain why he didn't drain the swamp. And he said Republicans were going to get tired of winning. Well, we saw last night, I'm sick of Republicans losing. In Florida, I showed how it's done. 1 year ago here, we want a historic victory, including a massive landslide right here in Miami-Dade County. That's how we have to do it. So I promise you this, as the nominee, next November I'll get the job done, and as president, I will deliver. Your time is up.
For more on this, please be joined by Scott McKay, publisher of The Hayride, contributing editor at The American Spectator, and author of the book The Revivalist Manifesto. Scott, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me.
So they're very different moments, but who had the better moment at the outset for their respective purposes? Vivek or DeSantis?
Well, okay, as a presidential candidate, I might go with DeSantis on that. Mm-hmm. But as a consequential figure in the Republican Party / conservative movement, it's Ramaswamy. And what I took from that was, hey, let's give this guy Ronna McDaniel's job today. Because I think that the Republican Party needs someone like Ramaswamy who's actually competitive and wants to win and will do the things necessary to win, which it doesn't have now. I think Ronna McDaniel is basically the same old Republican kind of country club crowd, happy to be second place political figure that put the party in the situation where it needed Trump to come along. And what I can't understand is why Trump endorsed McDaniel rather than get somebody who was more along his lines. I guess he just didn't care who the chair of the RNC was. But the problem is it's not an effective organization. And Tuesday night showed that.
Well, who should be in that position? Who should Trump have backed instead of her?
Well, I mean, I did that I can't tell you because I guess the answer to the question depends on which time, right? I mean, was it 2018 when you should have found somebody better? Was it 2020 when you should have found somebody better? Was it last year when you should have found somebody better? I would think that is an organization that if you had somebody like Trump saying, okay, let's get serious about building the RNC into a political machine that can counter what the Democrats do in the cities and on a national scale and make the investments in the block and tackle of winning elections, I think you could find somebody that can do that stuff. She's basically a fundraiser and not much more. And the problem with that is she has the stink of a loser about her, and I'm not sure that isn't poisonous for fundraising.
What about the stink of a loser on Trump? I mean, that's what DeSantis was attempting to do there in part. It's right. It's a bit of a bank shot, so I don't know how it works, how effective it will be, but he can't really argue at present legitimately that Trump can't win and I'm the only one that can win, or anybody else on stage can't either, because of the polling that suggests something very different than that. And Trump gets to wave that around as he has been. The New York Times Siena poll most recently that shows him up on Biden in five of six swing states. So instead he says, well, we're losing under Trump. The party is getting smaller under Trump. And so this is why we need to turn the page. It seems to me that's a tough sell because everything is so Trump's support is all bound up on, on Trump, almost irrespective of what happens in Kentucky or Virginia or Ohio.
Yeah, well, there's that. And the big piece to this is that people believe Donald Trump was done wrong and is being done wrong by a weaponized prosecutorial class at both the federal level and at the state level in Georgia and New York. And I don't know that there's a way to fix all that. Molly Hemingway had a week ago a good piece about, why DeSantis kind of fizzled and Trump sort of, locked down the nomination. And the timing on this was the indictments. But a couple of things that DeSantis did, she said, kind of took him out of the running as a serious challenger to Trump. The first thing was he was right initially about Ukraine when he called it a territorial dispute with the Russians. And then he crawfished on that when he took a whole lot of heat from the mainstream press. And the signal that sent to Trump supporters who might have been looking for Trump 2.0 was that Ron DeSantis was just sort of a regular, ordinary Republican politician after all. And then the second thing was the crack that he took at Trump about the first indictment, which was the hush money thing in New York. And he was like, well, I don't know what's involved in paying hush money to a porn star, right? Which was kind of a funny little clip.
Yeah,
the problem is that it alienated Trump's people.
Well, I mean, that's a fair shot across the bow as far as I'm concerned, but I get it. Yeah.
Well, this is what Molly said, and I don't think, if you just match up the timeline, I don't think it's wrong. And so if you're DeSantis, I think the moment has passed for you to claim the Trump 2.0 mantle. I just don't think that. I think the Trump 2.0 demand begins in 2028. And, you're kind of in a ride or die situation with Trump because the majority of the party, poll after poll of Republican voters shows, is in on Trump, and they're not going to change. And so the question is, are you still in this race as a long shot, hoping that Trump goes to jail and can't run for president? And in which case you can say the things that DeSantis said. Or are you positioning yourself to be the guy in 2028? Because if you are, I don't know it's a good idea to trash Trump. And actually, Ramaswamy at the end said something that DeSantis maybe should have said when he was talking about. Oh gosh, I can't remember what his final statement in the thing was. Actually even better than his original statement, and now I've lost my train of thought. But DeSantis, needed to be talking about transforming the Republican Party much more so than, hey, here's what we did in Florida. People think of Florida as a red state now and not a swing state, and DeSantis is the guy that is responsible in large measure for that, but he doesn't get credit for it anymore because he's irritated all the Trump people.
The other problem that it seems DeSantis and now Haley both have is each other. And so, right. if they're running neck and neck in second place and dividing up a third to 40% of the Republican primary electorate, then they almost ensure a Trump victory in Iowa, and then momentum starts to roll downhill, right?
Yeah, it's a death struggle. When you have, and I don't think they're similar candidates. They're similar only in from the standpoint that they're kind of Trump alternatives. Haley is, without question, sort of the neocon Bush Republican avatar in this race right now. She's just in a different package than those usually come. Usually they look like Mike Pence. And DeSantis is sort of the quote unquote acceptable alternative to Trump for Trump voters. And the problem is his base is Trump's base, and they like Trump better than him. So. That's his problem. And one of them would have to blow out the other. And the thing about it is, Haley can't really put DeSantis away because she's way too irritating. And DeSantis can't put Haley away because he doesn't have that killer instinct that Trump does from a political standpoint.
I thought he got kind of walked over last night. He just kind of sat there and didn't really get involved as much as I thought he should have. What do you think?
The body language that I saw was not awesome. Yeah. And this was in Miami. It was in his home state. He needed to be the guy in command of that stage. And really it was Ramaswamy more than it was DeSantis.
Right, for good or for bad, with respect to Ramaswamy. I mean, but you know, it doesn't seem like there is a particular. I mean, he's sort of been a bobber in the water too, after he popped a little bit because of his cable TV show appearances. But he hasn't really moved from that point.
No, he hasn't, and he's really what Ramaswamy is at this point is he's a spoiler for the other Republican challengers to Trump. You know, he's another guy who, you know, his base is Trump's base and they like Trump better than him. But he's willing to be Trump's avatar on that debate stage. And, you know, he says memorable things, and I think because his things are memorable, you can't remember what the other people say. But he doesn't necessarily capture the audience because he's a little on the caustic side, and he's a little dour, frankly. I mean, I don't think that anything he says is not true, and I think a lot of his takes may not be as informed as, say, Haley's are, but he comes about things from an anti-establishment perspective, which is healthy at this point, given the performance of the establishment. But it doesn't lend the kind of confidence where you could say, okay, this guy really could lead the country. And I think that's what the debates have done to him, while he's still the most interesting guy on the stage.
He is Scott McKay. He's the publisher of The Hayride. He's a contributor to The American Spectator. He's the author of The Revivalist Manifesto. And
big news.
He's featured at our Freedom Summit on Saturday at the Westin in Itasca. I think that we still got some GA tickets available. So we'll be talking to Scott, the McKay guy, Scott the Hayride guy, Scott McKay from The Hayride. We'll be talking to him on Saturday, among many other conservative thinkers. Scott, thanks so much for joining us.
For sure. See you guys this weekend.
Yep. See you at Freedom Summit. And again, there's limited tickets available, and you could purchase them at the door on Saturday. And Scott McKay joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you have a home remodeling project you'd love to get done? This is your opportunity to lock in this year's pricing with Chicago's Design Build Dream Team. Forever Remodeling is now offering exceptional savings. Simply sign on by December 31st to avoid any price increases next year. At Forever Remodeling, their expert designers and installers will turn your dreams into reality. Act now and you'll not only protect yourself from future price increases, but also beat the rush and secure a preferred spot in their schedule. Call 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. Highly skilled to design and build.
There's no ignoring it. Americans know they've been lied to by the ruling class, that politicians want more control over their lives and more taxes for nonsense. Who voted for this, and how do we get back to normal? It starts by being informed. But who do you trust when the media censors information and colludes with those in charge for their own political power? Breakthrough Ideas is a beacon of clarity in the storm of politics. At Breakthrough, Jeannie Ives and her team follows the legislation and the money and reports back to you so you know who's on your side. Elections matter. Be an informed voter. You can do that by listening to The Real Story with Jeannie Ives on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. right here on AM 560. Visit breakthrough-ideas.com to sign up for the newsletter, register for upcoming events, and stay informed with fresh content. Then connect with them on social media and share information with others. So together, we vote out the radicals and vote in common sense. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
Over 30 years ago, the challenge was accepted, and the Pride Stores has been redefining the convenience store experience throughout Chicagoland ever since. In the spirit of giving thanks this month to the surrounding communities for supporting the Pride Store's vision, you're invited to take advantage of their November promotion at the Pride of St. Charles. Buy 8 gallons of gas and receive 20% off your purchase at the Pride Beer and Wine Plus Spirits just next door. That's right, 8 gallons of gas gets you 20% off an amazing selection of local craft beers, high-end wines from Napa, Sonoma, Walla Walla, and Columbia Valley, plus a wide variety of Pride barrel picks. And don't forget about 93 Octane Brewery located inside the same building. Might as well get a pint while you shop. Offer ends Thursday, November 30th, and valid only at the Pride of St. Charles on Lincoln Highway. With 17 Chicagoland locations, visit thepridestores.com to find the one nearest you. That's thepridestores.com. The Pride Stores, not your typical convenience store.
With the holidays upon us, the increase in traveling, shopping, and connecting online also heightens the need to protect your identity and finances with LifeLock. Identity thieves see this time of year as an opportunity to drain your accounts, open new loans in your name, and damage your financial future. LifeLock detects and alerts you to the threats you might miss on your own. Don't let the busy holiday season catch you off guard. Save up to 25% off your first year with promo code CLAY. LifeLock.com, promo code CLAY.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Support our police and hire the police to personally protect you. You've watched the news. Rising crime has been affecting our everyday lives in Illinois more and more these days. Blue Star Security can protect you, your business, or your place of worship. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 900 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Anthony Barchetto, president of Blue Star Security and a 20-year law enforcement veteran. The Blue Star team is made up of over 900 state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals. We serve businesses and private organizations with supply chain and special event security, and also protect our loved ones at places of worship and schools all across the Chicagoland area. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity, while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at BlueStarSecurityLLC.com. That's BlueStarSecurityLLC.com.
Right now is a really good time to get your student loans under control. There are so many people that we talk to every day who tell us that they just feel so much anxiety and overwhelmed by their student loans. But once they pick up that phone and call us, and we're able to give them a plan and a strategy that may lower their payment by hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands of dollars, and may actually get their loans forgiven. The point is just to give people some clarity and control over their situation so that they know that whatever the payment is, whatever the plan is, there actually is a plan, and that plan is going to save them the most amount of money. I'm Ray Kaplan, and I can help you get debt-free, stress-free. Give us a call at 312-294-8989 or visit us at financialrelief.com.
Are you a driver of a Ford Power Stroke diesel engine? Tired of taking your Ford Power Stroke diesel in to be misdiagnosed or paying for repairs that don't fix the problem? Well, bring your vehicle to the diesel headquarters, Remke's Garage. The shop is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Remke's Garage specializes in Ford Power Stroke, Chevy Duramax, Dodge Cummins, Mercedes Sprinter, and Isuzu diesel engines and transmission repairs. At Remke's, they'll make your vehicle repairs convenient by offering a free commercial loaner vehicle.
Remke's Garage, where you won't spend $1,000 to fix a $100 problem. Call for details and to schedule an appointment at 800-5-REMKES or visit Remke'sGarage.com. Remke's Garage, your diesel headquarters.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, another issue that wasn't covered in the debate, and of course it wasn't covered because NBC News is a part of it, the censorship industrial complex. That's an important conversation about election security, about misinformation campaigns by the government and social media collaborators in advance of 2024. That's part of the messaging discussion too, and it wasn't raised. It needs to be. 8:38.
And I don't think Tim Scott and his girlfriend are going to make it, and I just want to tell you why.
You have to tell us why. Yeah.
I will. Relationship expert over here. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
41 degrees at 8:30 on AM 560, The Answer. The Israel-Hamas war rages on. Israeli troops and Hamas militants battling through bombed-out buildings in Gaza City today. Meantime, some 80 countries and organizations have been meeting in Paris to coordinate humanitarian aid and find ways to get wounded civilians out of the battle zone. The dust is settling after last night's GOP presidential debate. 5 candidates faced off in Miami. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley argues Republicans and Democrats shouldn't fight each other over the issue of abortion.
Let's agree on how we can ban late-term abortions. Let's make sure we encourage adoptions and good quality adoptions. Let's make sure we make contraception accessible. Let's make sure that none of these state laws put a woman in jail or give her the death penalty for getting an abortion.
Presidential hopeful Vivek Ramaswamy argued President Biden's economic plan is failing, causing more Americans to spend more money.
Americans at home, they know the Bidenomics is a lie. Prices are going up, interest rates and mortgages to buy your home are going up, but wages have remained flat. That's the hard diagnosis for our economy.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis promises to make the southern border more secure if he's elected.
We're declaring it a national emergency on day one. I'm sending U.S. military to the border. I'm going to stop the invasion cold. I am going to deport people who came illegally. And I'm even going to build the border wall and have Mexico pay for it like Donald Trump promised.
Former president and 2024 GOP presidential hopeful Donald Trump did not participate in that debate. Instead, opted to hold a rally in nearby Hialeah. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin this morning says he's fully prepared to take the necessary measures to protect U.S. personnel in the Middle East following airstrikes conducted by the U.S. on a weapons storage facility used by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. Hollywood productions can resume after the actor strike ended just after midnight. Over the last several days, SAG-AFTRA and Hollywood studios have been putting the final touches on a deal that includes protection for actors against AI. A suspect and victim were both wounded in a West Loop shooting following a crash Wednesday night. President Joe Biden will be visiting Belvedere today, celebrating with union members and the UAW, a contact deal that includes Chrysler's parent Stellantis' pledge to invest billions of dollars and reopen a plant in Belvedere. Chicago officials are planning to open a homeless shelter in a hotel in the Streeterville neighborhood. As a result, a group of employees at Selena's Chicago hotel will be laid off. Last night, the Bulls lost to the Suns in overtime, 116-115. Tonight, Thursday night football, Bears and Carolina at Soldier Field in a battle of last-place teams. College hoops last night, Loyola lost to number 9 Florida Atlantic 75-62. The news is a service of the Fireplace and Chimney Authority. Visit their showrooms in Lisle or Elmhurst or online at fireplaceandchimneyauthority.com. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by St. John's Lutheran School in Lombard, Tom Miraboli, independent insurance agent with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, and by OverheadDoorChicago.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
If you're interested in learning about reverse mortgages, call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Tom Selleck is a very handsome man and a good actor who is a spokesperson for a reverse mortgage company. The biggest difference between us, other than I'm not handsome and I can't act, is that I've actually originated reverse mortgages and I don't need a teleprompter to talk about the many benefits of this amazing loan. If you've outlived your assets, have become your parents' caretaker, and can't afford to pay their expenses, or you're a financial planner who would like to learn how to unlock your client's home equity tax-free so they don't have to deplete their assets you manage, then you need to call Team Hochberg or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of radio listeners understand the benefits of reverse mortgages, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. 855-563-2843 to unlock your home's equity or purchase a new home with a reverse mortgage. Lower.com, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 112461.
Did you know most vitamin supplements have a warning label on the back? That's because without the synergy of thousands of nutrients working together that are found naturally in whole fruits and vegetables, vitamins are not balanced. This is why Balance of Nature only uses whole fruits and vegetables, no isolates or synthetic vitamins of any kind. We take a variety of 31 of the highest quality fruits and vegetables and remove the water without changing the rich chemistry. It's then ground to a powder, blended to perfection, and encapsulated, preserving the nutrients and making it easy to get the fruits and vegetables you need. So even though Balance of Nature comes in a capsule and looks like a vitamin, it's very different. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman. Listen Saturday mornings at 8. Learn more at willsave.com.
840 on AM 560, The Answer. Let's check the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of Wendy's Breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles, a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee, limited time only during breakfast hours. U.S. price and participation may vary, of course, not valid in a combo, single item at a regular price. And on the roads, 47 from Lake Cook Road to the junction. Right now, it is a mess. Nearly 2 hours on the inbound Kennedy from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. It's just jammed all the way. 47 back outbound to the big airport. Eisenhower inbound, 53 into the old post office. You're delayed outbound to Manheim, especially from Pulaski into the avenues. Stevenson right now coming inbound, 53 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Bishop Ford and I-57 jamming into the Ryan merge, and the Ryan at 40 minutes, 95th into the Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Sunny with highs in the mid-50s. Tonight, partly cloudy, lows in the upper 30s. Currently, we have 42 and sunshine at O'Hare. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We talked a bit earlier in the program. Issues that were not covered in the GOP presidential debate last night in Miami that you wish would have been. I mentioned K through 12 education, particularly against the backdrop of
what's going to happen in Springfield today, right?
Yeah, the end of the Invest in Kids, the tax credit scholarship program in Illinois. And there's a lot of school choice action that has also occurred in the swing states. So it would have been important for the candidates to comment on. Perhaps someone would have said, you know what we could do with the Department of Education? We can take that $50 billion or whatever the number is these days. Used to be around that number. You know, it's hard to keep track with the spend. And we'll just drop ship it to states to provide scholarships, to help provide anything to add to scholarships they already have, or to create scholarships they don't have, to serve more kids who are in schools their parents would rather not have them in, but they don't have the resources to get them to a school that does a better job providing educational opportunity. That could have been a moment that could be interesting, spark a debate, like we're sparking over the tax treatment of universities and colleges in America, for example. That was part of the discussion. But that didn't happen because, of course, Kristen Welker and Lester Holt don't see anything wrong with government education in America.
They didn't bring it up.
Teachers' unions are in control. Everything is right with the world. No problem. Blind spots. I've got another one.
All right, what?
But before that, I am sort of intrigued why you think Tim Scott's relationship with his girlfriend, since that's part of the buzz out of last night, why do you think it's not going to work?
Dan, her name is Mindy. Okay, she has a name. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's 58 years old. He's black. She's white. They get up there, and which is fine. Whatever. I don't care about any of that. But people are pointing out, oh, he's got a white girlfriend. Yeah. So what? But their body language, he didn't seem comfortable with her, and especially when she got in his private space. When they were kind of cheek to cheek taking a picture. I don't think it's going to last, and I do not think that they should get married. I don't know. It was.
Oh, I don't know what the state of their relationship is. I'm not sure you do either, but
they've been together for a year or so, and she was at his campaign launch, last year. So I just
because he wasn't mauling her on stage because he didn't do the Al Gore Tipper Gore kiss. By the way, how did that work out?
A little too soon there.
Because that didn't happen. That they're not going to make it.
No, my spidey senses. I cannot remember. I tell you this: when I go to a wedding, when the couple walks down the aisle, I know if they're going to make it or if they're not.
Right.
And this couple is not going to make it as a couple. I know they're not getting married, but.
And you even knew that when you walked down the aisle the first time. That's how good your spidey sense
Yep.
is.
No, I knew.
Yeah. Okay. Why you did that anyway? That's a topic for another show. Probably a whole show. All right. So,
maybe around Christmas time.
Well, I'm a silly heart.
Okay.
I want the relationships to work. I'm all for love and people being in love and it all working out.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of my calling card. So I'm optimistic about the relationship.
Yeah, it was just kind of sad because after the debate, everybody's children ran up on their spouses or their parents, and he was kind of lingering by himself for a while. And then it got a little longer. And then his mom finally came up, and then she came up, and they took a picture.
Right. I know. You with the telestrator were doing the color commentary online.
That was the goofiest thing, wasn't it?
But, also, too, if an old man, an aging bachelor like Tim Scott can find love, then, maybe there's hope for more of us. I don't know.
For some guy named DP.
Yeah, well, let's not get too crazy. All right. One of the other issues that should have been covered that wasn't. And this has been sort of muted since the Twitter files. And it needs to be revisited now in the context of a presidential campaign, of course. That is the censorship industrial complex. The collaboration between government and social media companies to turn off information that they don't want people to have. In addition to spreading information that turns out not to be true, but the information people don't want to have. We're seeing this right now, actually, with the Nashville school shooters manifesto and social media companies again coming in to censor that, even though it's essentially been confirmed that those documents that were released are real, are authentic, because the city of Nashville is launching an investigation into the leaker. So this is real. And lest we forget the Russian collusion, which Ramaswamy reminded us of, lest we forget the Hunter Biden letter organized by animatronic Anthony Blinken and former acting CIA Director Mike Morrell, lest we forget all of the details In the Twitter files, thankfully brought to us by the Michael Schellenbergers and others, Matt Taibbi and others, per Elon Musk, there's something happening here, and it's not being talked about. Mike Benz is talking about it. He's a former State Department cyber official. He's now founded the Foundation for Freedom Online. He wants to go back to when the internet was not being used in Orwellian fashion by government agencies. Now, and we also, by the way, have this Missouri v. Biden case that's pending too, which is in part where we've gotten all this information about the nefarious activities of the leadership of these national security and law enforcement agencies and social media companies. Well, there's a restructuring going on, according to Mike Benz. And this warrants consideration and comment. Take a listen.
The way the censorship industry is currently being restructured in anticipation of a devastating Missouri v. Biden ruling is to do a sort of middle out restructuring, whereas instead of having things run out of CISA at the DHS or the State Department's Global Engagement Center, it would be run out of what they're calling a middleware company, a censorship service provider who sits in the middle between the user and the platform, but is intermediated by essentially intelligence agency and government and major government figures who inform that middleware censorship companies' policies and filtering mechanisms. So NewsGuard is an example of this. NewsGuard, of course, has Rick Stengel on its board, who ran the Global Engagement Center at the State Department, Anders Fogh Rasmussen, who was the head of NATO for 5 years in the Obama administration, Tom Ridge, the former head of DHS, and General Michael V. Hayden, who was a former four-star general, head of the NSA, and head of the CIA. So that's who's in control, essentially, of the middleware censorship provider, who is now also doing censorship compliance for this new European Digital Services Act. They're trying to get congressional regulations to mandate middleware so that it looks like it's coming from the private sector when indeed it's, again, being intermediated by these intelligence cutouts.
That's a big deal. Because now you will never have the fingerprints of some official at DHS or CIA or NSA or DNI or the Pentagon or the State Department. You won't have their fingerprints on it because the former leadership of some of those agencies has now put together this NewsGuard operation. Nobody needs to tell them what to do. They'll communicate with the social media companies as to what to censor or what to push, like all the earmarks of a Russian misinformation campaign, Hunter Biden laptop propaganda. That should concern us. CISA, he mentioned CISA. That's the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. By the way, that's the agency in charge with election security. You remember when Chris Krebs, who is the former head of CISA, spoke to 60 Minutes after the 2020 election? And he was one of those who came out and said, nothing to see here. Let me refresh your recollection.
I have confidence in the security of this election because I know the work that we've done for 4 years in support of our state and local partners. I know the work that the intelligence community has done, that the Department of Defense has done, that the FBI has done, that my team has done. I know that these systems are more secure. I know, based on what we have seen, that any attacks on the election were not successful. There is no foreign power that is flipping votes. There's no domestic actor flipping votes. I did it right. We did it right. This was a secure election.
Rand Paul asked Chris Krebs later in Senate hearing, what about the old regular kind of fraud? Yeah, maybe not foreign actors compromising election security online or through alleged backdoors in voting systems and so forth. What about regular old fraud?
And the only last comment I would say on what Mr. Krebs, and he can speak for himself, but I think his job was keeping the foreigners out of the election. It was the most secure election based on security of the internet and technology. But he never has voiced an opinion, he's welcome to today, on whether or not dead people voted. I don't think he examined that. Did he examine non-citizens voting? So to say it was the safest election, sure, I agree with your statement if you're referring to foreign intervention. But if you're saying it's the safest election based on no dead people voted, no non-citizens voted, no people broke the absentee rules, I think that's false. And I think that's what's upset a lot of people on our side, is that they're taking your statement to mean, oh, well, there was no problem in the elections. I don't think you examined any of the problems that we've heard here. So really, you're just referring to something differently is the way I look at it.
So there's the election security piece, and it's, as Rand Paul rightly points out, who, by the way, will be at Freedom Summit on Saturday as well.
Yes, and tickets are still available. You can purchase them at the door.
So there's the cybersecurity piece, and then there's all of the other gambits that were afoot, from Zucker boxes to questions about people who couldn't voting, the improper in some jurisdictions, not in others, ballot harvesting and stuffing. Those are all questions. And yet we've got NewsGuard running. So that's one issue. And these this web of agencies is all interconnected and talking to one another. And more or less, one could surmise, reading from the same playbook. I mean, there certainly are in 2024 if they were in 2020, wouldn't you think? And then the research. Now, again, let's not lose our institutional memory here. Go back to the research that Harvard-trained psychiatrist Robert Epstein produced and provided in a hearing before the Senate with our friend Dennis Prager, when Prager was talking about how Prager University is improperly censored by social media companies, and Robert Epstein was talking about how Google rigs the searches to move votes, and he estimated in 2016 they could have moved, round numbers here, between 2 and 10 million votes in the direction of Hillary Clinton. And how did that control of information, the manipulation of information, what people can and can't see, how many people can see and not see it? I mean, we did nothing. Republicans did nothing in advance of 2020, and then, of course, we have the high-profile Hunter Biden laptop. The letter providing the cover for the D.C. press corps to spike the story and for the social media companies to limit Americans' access to it, just in advance of the 2020 election. No one's talking about this. No. Mike Benz, over the summer, gave a nice tutorial on how this all works. He discussed a Washington Post article from June of 23 that was entitled, "The Academics Studied Falsehood Spread by Trump. Now the GOP Wants Answers." And it involves this web of government-funded actors, Stanford, University of Washington, an organization called Graphica, the Atlantic Council. These are all government-funded. The Election Integrity Partnership, EIP, was housed at Stanford. It was a government cutout, Election Integrity Partnership. This is NewsGuard 1.0. Now we're at NewsGuard 2.0.
The head of EIP, the Election Integrity Partnership, the head of the 120-person censorship consortium, partnered with the Department of Homeland Security, even described his university department and EIP writ large as a government cutout.
There was a lack of capability around election disinformation. This is not because CISA didn't care about disinformation, but at the time they lacked both kind of the funding and the legal authorizations to go do the kinds of work that would be necessary to truly understand how election disinformation was operating. So because of the
so we're
feedback,
supposed to trust these leftist eggheads at Stanford to do the job the government can't do, just like social media companies were doing the job the government couldn't do. This is the basis of the Missouri v. Biden suit. I know there's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of alphabet soup agencies, but the bottom line is you still have an infrastructure, it is growing, it's getting more complicated, and it's getting more difficult to stamp out regardless of the Missouri v. Biden decision, because as you have heard from Mike Benz, they're already restructuring it in anticipation of an adverse decision so they can do the same thing in 2024 they did in 2020. What Republican is talking about that? Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
I love giving jewelry as a gift. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I want to tell you that Roland's Jewelers is the perfect place for that magical holiday gift for someone you love. I'm always amazed by their 5-star Google reviews. I love that they're family-owned. Hey, getting engaged? Well, Roland's Jewelers has a large selection of both mined and lab-grown diamonds at great prices. Choose from beautifully crafted engagement rings from designer Simon G. or Italian designer Roberto Coin, offering stunning diamond pendants and earrings. How about a Tag Heuer watch with cutting-edge technology? Listen, I've been a customer of Roland's Jewelers for a long time. You should too. They're so impressive. Their staff is expertly trained. I encourage you to visit Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville or visit RolandsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS, RolandsJewelers.com. Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust this holiday, just like I do.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, and Dan, just so you know, the fourth debate has just been announced. It's going to be on Newsmax with Elizabeth Vargas, and Megyn Kelly will be there, as well as Washington Free Beacon editor Elena Johnson. So that will take place December 6th. Get your scorecards out. All right, thanks so much for making us part of your day. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. We're back here bright and early, 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Charges have been filed against 2 people accused of killing a woman during an attempted robbery. A 16-year-old boy is in the hospital after a shooting in the Garfield Park neighborhood. WIND Chicago News Time, 9 o'clock.
Another U.S. retaliation in the Middle East. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
We're not looking for a war with Iran, but we will do what we have to do to protect our troops and our forces.
National Security Council spokesman John Kirby on ABC the morning after a second attack in Syria on Iran-backed militants.
After more than 41 attacks on U.S. bases and the downing of a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone over the Red Sea yesterday off the coast of Yemen, a pair of American F-15 fighter jets bombed a weapons storage facility where Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps stores the weapons that are used to constantly target U.S. troops and bases.